Jin Hun was one of the best specialists who understood ancient writings. He had a 7-year-old son named Jin Yan. The boy came to the library every day, where his father worked and dealt with very old books. The boy did not like his father's work at all. Because of his work, Jin Ho was always on his feet, so the boy did not even dare to dream of spending time with his father. And when they had the chance to be together, the father drank alcohol and told his son about his mother. Jin Yan actually liked it even though his father smelled of alcohol. Jin Hun was worried that his son missed his mother, but the boy was perfectly fine because he had a father. There were many children near the house, for example, Wang Ho or Ho Jin, and many of them had lost their parents in the war. The next day came, someone was knocking very loudly at the Jin family's gate. When the boy opened the gate, Uncle John was standing behind it. The bearded man smiled gently and greeted him. Jin Yan told his uncle that he had read a book and asked how his aunt was feeling. Uncle John thought it would be better to answer the 7-year-old boy if he was asking such serious questions. Jin Yan reminds the uncle, people used to get married as early as 7 years old. Zhang ruffled the little boy's hair and hugged him so tightly that it became hard for him to breathe. Night had already fallen, the men were pouring alcohol for each other. The uncle wants Jin Hun to decipher the ancient writings on the golden plates. In fact, among all the scholars, there are none as talented as Jin Hun. Moreover, this is a great opportunity. A highly respected man has taken an interest in him. Jin Hun has not yet finished researching the relics he has been working on for 10 years. But Uncle Zhang insists and says that his friend has only 3 golden plates, so Hun will manage in a few days. He was incredibly proud, yet he had to think about his son's future. Studying objects from the past is, of course, important, but Jin Hun has wasted 10 years. The man has run out of money and still has a pile of debts to pay off. Uncle Zhang again tells him, think about Jin Yan's future and at least for some time forget about your relics. Eventually, under such pressure, Jin Hun agrees. Their entire conversation was overheard by the little boy. It seems he was terribly pained for his father. Soon the father was about to start this work, so he needed to leave the house. He leaves Jin Yang with the nanny. Jin Yang promises to obey the nanny, so the father would not have to worry. After that, they said goodbye, and Jin Hong went away. Evening had already come. Jin Yang sits on the stairs and thinks deeply about something. Everyone is busy with their own affairs. Jin Yang sat waiting for his father but felt, it seems today he will not come again. The upset boy sighs heavily and turns back home. Suddenly his gaze stops at the father's office. Jin Yang wanted to look and he decided to go inside. It was very empty and dark there. The boy froze when he saw how many books were there. Soon his gaze rests on a picture on the wall. If Jin Yang remembers correctly, behind this picture was a secret passage. These stairs behind the painting led straight to the father's storage. Then Jin Yang decides to look around and hopes that his father will not mind. He takes a candle and prepares to go down. When Jin Yang goes down, he sees a large room full of interesting things. There were lots of antique items here even from the very west. Suddenly our hero notices something extremely interesting and his attention is immediately captured. Jin Yang again sees the same box that his father studied all his life. The boy is eager to find out what is hidden inside, so he climbs into the box. Here he notices a strange staff and books with ancient writings. This disappoints him a little because he thought there would be something more interesting. But when Jin Yang rummaged a little more in the box, he noticed something more interesting. The boy came across some strange little box. It was some octagon with a creepy red face painted on it. The boy even felt a little uneasy from such a creepy carved face. And when Jin Yang was about to put this strange thing back into the box, you cut yourself badly on it and he started bleeding. Immediately after that, the eyes of this strange box flashed with a bright emerald color. From what our hero saw next, a furious scream burst from his chest. For some unknown reason, bright emerald light flowed from this box. This bright light looked like tentacles a moment more, and they already lunged straight at the defenseless boy. Within a second, they struck his eyes with full force, sliding right inside. Suddenly, the bright light snatched Jin Yang off the floor. It was still flashing in his eyes. After a few seconds, it finally subsided. The strange light filled his eyes to the brim. The boy did not understand at all what had happened, but felt strong, unbearable pain all over his body. Some time passed while our hero was unconscious. Finally, he slowly opened his eyes. Jin Yang looks at this box, trying to comprehend what happened to him. Without thinking long, the main hero closed the box and decided he needed to get far away from here. As soon as the boy was about to leave, he heard some strange sounds and moans, which made him freeze in place. After this, the boy immediately became insanely scared, did not understand what these sounds were. The sounds were so loud that it seemed, any moment now the head would explode. From this, the frightened boy cowered in the corner and, covering his ears, tried not to hear the noise. Suddenly, Jin Yan felt as if someone's large, sharp hands were embracing his head. From this, he firmly grabbed his own wrist, not understanding why himself. It seemed his hands did not obey him. In a moment, the palm was already on his mouth. An unfamiliar voice ordered Jin Yan to obey him. The boy could barely breathe. Suddenly, something strange begins to happen to the main character, more precisely, to his body. In a moment, a bright aura began to spread from our hero and gathered into a sphere. Immediately after this, Jin Yan rushed to the stairs to escape from this terrible and incomprehensible place. But the voice, as much as it could, tried to stop Jin Yang, becoming louder and more terrible with each word. The boy did not give up and shouted at the unfamiliar voice to get lost. The main character tries to climb the stairs up the mountain, but the darkness seems to pull him back. The body felt incredibly heavy. The darkness covered the boy further and further, but he was not going to give up. Suddenly, a brilliant idea came to our hero. The clever boy realized if he does not lose his mind, he can win. So our hero really managed to get out of this terrible room. The monster could not understand how this could have happened. This unknown creature thought it would immediately possess the soul of the child it inhabited. To his great surprise, he could not do it. Jin Yang finally climbed the stairs. Obviously, it was done by his father when he sealed him, so he will have to look for another way, even if it takes a lot of time. Some time passed. The little boy was already lying in his bed and preparing to sleep. Suddenly, the boy realizes something. Jin Yang realized that he no longer heard those strange sounds and prayed for the monster to disappear. But a moment later, he heard that voice again, asking what the boy's name was. Terrified to death, the child suddenly jumped out of bed. His whole body was trembling. Our hero was the one who woke this unknown creature. The main hero does not want to answer the stranger's questions at all. Suddenly, he notices large emerald eyes in the corner of the room. The boy is overwhelmed by incredible fear. He freezes in place as if lifeless. Jin Yang still does not intend to tell these creatures his name. But it seems the monster does not even think about retreating. Morning had already come. Jin Yang was sitting on the stairs and it seemed he was in no mood at all. Suddenly, he heard someone call him. It was the nanny. She noticed that Jin Yang's face was very pale and decided he was in great pain. The main character only silently looked at her, yet still did not respond. In a moment, he sighed heavily and looked away. After that, he told the woman that he was fine. He just needed to rest for everything to pass. And the nanny told the boy, let him rest more today and read less. After that, the woman went about her business, leaving the boy alone. Jin Yang perfectly understood. If he told anyone about this, they would not take him seriously and would simply say he was crazy. Some time passed and our hero still sat on the stairs. Suddenly, darkness loomed over him. He again heard the voice of that mysterious creature calling him. Darkness asked what place this was because it felt the air here was completely different. Darkness tried to reach Jin Yang for a conversation, whispered if there were other spirits here, but he did not answer. Our hero barely restrained himself. He begged that creature to be silent. The voice gave him a headache. After a second, the boy could not stand it. He jumped up from his place and started shouting, calling the darkness Cheritan. There was no answer. Could the darkness have disappeared? But already after a second, the eerie voice pressed down again. The darkness was called Certain, the great warrior of Makai. But Jin Yang is not going to call this madman by name. For him, he will be called Cheritan. A moment of silence followed. It seems the darkness has indeed retreated. Some time passed. Dinner came. The nanny prepared a bunch of delicious dishes. The main character politely thanked her for the food and she left. Soon Jin Yang began to eat. While eating, he had no idea where the darkness had gone. It was no longer heard. Could it have disappeared completely? But already after a second, the boy heard that eerie voice again. From surprise, what he was eating flew out of his mouth. Certain asks how the boy found out about this, but Jin Yang does not understand what exactly he means. It turns out the main character guessed the nickname of this creature, Cheritan. In Makai, he was usually called by this nickname, but Jin Yang stated that it was simply a mispronunciation of his name. The boy becomes curious about what Makai is, so he asks the creature about it. Makai lies between the heavenly world and the world of humans. The human species was created last. Between the two worlds, a zone for conflict was needed initially. It was not supposed to appear. Turns out, Makai and the heavenly world created the human world to wage war. The boy thought correctly, and Certain said that he was smart and clever. But Jin Yan is not sure he can trust Cheritan's words. The creature is outraged because of this. Certain repeats again to our hero that his name is not Cheritan, but Jin Yan does not care. The darkness also calls him not by name. Suddenly Jin Yan starts laughing, but Certain does not understand what exactly made him laugh. The boy realized if you write Cheratan in Chinese characters, suddenly this word will have some meaning. And the meaning of this word will be a singer who cries. Because of this, the boy laughed even more. Suddenly Jin Yan notices, certain has fallen silent and thinks that he is offended. It turns out the boy learned about the power of darkness and it deeply impressed him. Cheratan can conquer the minds of opponents with his voice, making them cry and fall into terror. Realizing this, Jin Yan was wildly surprised and immediately a thought flashed in his mind. This is complete nonsense. The main hero does not react to this and does not intend to respond. He lies down to sleep, so he tells Cheratan, behave quietly. Some time passed, it had long been dark in the room and our hero was sweetly sleeping in his little bed. Certain thought that this boy was very amusing, clever, curious, and then Certain is surprised by one thing: he shows mercy to a human child. Darkness is already about to claim the body of this boy. By any means, it wants to return to Makai. Next day came. The boy began to count on the sand. Demons usually live about 5,000 years and Cheratan is now 1,000. And it turns out that by human standards he is now 10 years old, and that means they are definitely friends. Suddenly someone called the main hero, and the voice was extremely joyful. It was the nanny, who was shouting that his father had already returned. Finally the father returned to the native home. The boy was glowing when he saw him. Jin Hun immediately asked if anything special had happened at home while he was away. If Jin Yan tells the father about Cheratan, he will find out that the son secretly sneaked into his storage. Therefore, the main hero decides that it is better to lie. Father was glad to hear that everything was fine even without him. Jin Hun had an urgent matter, so he had to hurry. Father left and Cheratan asked why father was not so affectionate with his son. Jin Hun immediately bursts into his library, approaches the painting. There is no time left at all. He goes downstairs and enters his storage. The man approaches the items and carefully examines each of them. After working on the plates in the mansion, the emperor will kill Jin Hun, so the man wants to record everything he knows beforehand. Meanwhile in the mansion, the emperor has already been informed. Jin Hun has returned home. The man said he needs materials there. The subordinate asks the emperor not to worry, because it has not even been 10 days since Jin Hun began his studies. During this time many scholars have abandoned him, so he still has not revealed the content. The emperor orders, as soon as Jin Hun returns and finishes everything, kill him, his family, and all who are connected to him. Jin Hun tied up the bag and packed his things. Before setting off, the man suddenly remembered something. Father warns, maybe this time he will give 1 month for research. They say that no news is good news, so even if there is no news, there is no need to worry. Before leaving, the man orders his son to obey the nanny. After that, Jin Hun leaves, not even looking back at his son. When Jin Hun stepped out of the yard, he saw some strangers near the fence. Some stranger called the man by name. This stranger introduced himself as Yuk Du Gam. They came here to escort him. Jin Yan was embarrassed and began to get nervous. He could not understand why government troops were personally escorting his father. Before finally leaving, Jin Hun tells his son, let him take his studies seriously. A year ago he gave Jin Yan 9 books of Hanshu each, so the son most likely has already managed to read them. And now he orders his son to repeat the 3rd volume. The boy was stunned upon hearing such a request from his father. Jin Hun says he will give him an exam as soon as he returns. After that, they set off for the estate. Jin Yan does not understand what his father meant because he finished the Hanshu 2 years ago, so why read the 3rd volume again? Some time passed. The day was extremely rainy. Our hero was sitting on the steps again. A whole month has passed since the father left and there is still no news from him. It is time to go home. The rain was pouring too heavily. Suddenly, the boy noticed something to the side. He sees that the soldiers are still standing near their house, but why is that? It was quite strange, but the main hero barely paid attention to it and headed home. Hirotano's voice sounded. He asked our hero what had happened, because he looked confused. Jin Yan shared his concerns about the fact that those soldiers are still lurking around their house. Certain thinks that these soldiers appeared exactly when his father came, because he has long felt their energy. Certain did not tell the boy about this because he did not consider it anything strange. The boy realized he must immediately read the 3rd volume just as his father ordered. Jin Yang thinks that maybe his father left him some clue or sign. The boy found the Hanshu but did not notice the 3rd volume here. The main character sets out to find the 3rd volume and cannot find it at all. Could it be that he miscounted something? Cheratan was watching our hero and intervened, stating that there is one more place where he did not search. Jin Yang took a candle and went to the storage to look there. When the boy thinks that Cheratan is clinging to him here, he immediately feels uneasy. Jin Yang calls Cheratan and they go down together to inspect everything. Soon he bursts into a completely dark room and lights his way with a candle. Finally, he noticed the very same third volume on the table. Turns out the third volume had been lying here on the table all this time. Darkness addresses the boy and asks what inscriptions are written on the table. The main character is intently looking at these inscriptions, but still cannot make out what is written there. Then Jin-yoon is going to look for the answer in the third volume. The boy does not understand why his father wrote this on the back. Moreover, the notes were written from back to front. The order was disrupted, the right and left hieroglyphs were swapped. If read backwards, the words are "mother's animal by force" 3 times. It seems our hero has finally deciphered the connection between these words. Certain also wanted to hear how the boy found out about this, but Jin-yoon promises to tell later. Passing that boy by the animal sculptures, the mother who gave birth by the sea loved turtles very much. By the way, our hero's dominant hand is the left, and only he and his father know about this. The task was for the boy to turn this turtle sculpture to the left 3 times. The main character tries to turn this sculpture and exerts himself fully to finally move it from its place. Certain did not understand at all what this child was doing, and this made him even more scared. As soon as he managed to turn the sculpture, the bookshelf moved aside and a secret passage opened. Jin-young was shocked when he realized there was still a secret room hidden below. Here lay the records of his father and all the documents. It says here that it was a mistake to come to the imperial estate. They believe Jin-hun needs a lot of time to decipher the golden plates. But in fact, the man had already solved them. Giving the emperor the meaning of these golden plates was too dangerous. The boy did not understand at all what these runes were. Certain explained that magical formulas are called runes. Magic draws mana to change the air and nature. Thanks to magic, you can even fly on a broom. You can even transform into a rat or take the spirits of nature as your subordinates. The boy asks Cheritan to teach him at least a little magic if he, of course, knows how. For now, Uncle John was galloping swiftly on horseback to Jin-young. He had to ride at full speed. The boy had to be saved. Besides the cities where they live, according to the text, there are many others. The person who wrote this came from another world. This was the mage Jenna. He constantly tried to return to his world. But the heavens envied his abilities and the sorcerer could not return, so he ended his life in this world. But all his life he thought it was because of the cursed item he accidentally obtained. This item had incredible power enough to change Jenna's magic, which he created to return. It was a demonic thing. The father wrote that when the son inherits it, he must always handle such things with extreme caution. All this was noted in his records, but it was already too late. The boy had already touched this item. In any case, he found out there was previously a sorcerer here who came from another world but could not return because of the demonic item. And the main character remembers the runes he saw on the wall. He recalled how Cheritan said that last time he transferred the human language from the boy's head to himself. Darkness does not understand why the boy needs this, but our hero asks to transfer the runes to his head. Now they are two compatible minds, and that means they must know this together. Then the main hero decides to challenge the darkness and teases it, saying that perhaps it simply cannot do it. This really affects Certain, and he decides to prove what he is capable of. In a second, bright light bursts from the boy's eyes. His head begins to hurt as if it is about to explode. Jin-young could not have predicted this. The pain was bursting fully unbearable and a scream tore from his chest. After a few seconds, everything calmed down. The machine stopped. The boy had a severe headache. Certain says that it takes some time to fully understand the runes. But already in a second, our hero was able to see what exactly was written in the documents. This really surprises the darkness because now it seems as if this boy is unusual since he was able to read it so quickly. Jin-young remembered all the words that were on the wall. Now it is time to move on to the next step. It seems our hero became a little scared. After some time, he finished reading the documents. After that, he asked the darkness to teach him some magic. Cheritan says that this is simply impossible because in Manga it is forbidden by law. But the main character sees nothing wrong with the darkness teaching him basic magics. Besides, they are not in Manga right now. Soon Cheritan agrees and the boy thanks him sincerely. The darkness warns he is very bad at understanding human magic. Because of this, Jin-young is very disappointed, as he thought he would be able to learn magic. Then Cheritan says he will teach the boy the magic used in Manga. This magic is called the Finger of Fantasy, magic controlled by a finger. This power must be different from that of humans. If a boy has a lot of magic, he is capable of creating the incredible, for example, cutting through space. But it was necessary to stay away from this spell. Because if you use it incorrectly, not only mana but also life energy will come from the fingertip. This is how one can die. So this spell can only be used once a day. Suddenly the boy hears someone calling him. This voice was all too familiar, and Jin Yang almost immediately understood. It was Uncle Jiang. Therefore he quickly set off to go upstairs. The main character was rapidly climbing the stairs upwards, catching on the go how Uncle was calling him further. Uncle Chan seemed to be on edge and was grumbling angrily. Finally, Jin Yang ran and he looked at Uncle anxiously and asked what had happened. Uncle Chan quickly recounted that a real disaster had occurred. The father of our hero was arrested in the imperial estate. Uncle himself does not know what it means, but Jin Hun deciphered the false message, so the emperor is insanely furious. Under any circumstances, this meant one thing: you cannot stay at home, you must run as fast as possible. The boy is terribly scared. This news fell on him completely unexpectedly. There is a law: if you offend the emperor's family, all relatives of the guilty will be killed. Therefore, soldiers may come here to catch Jin Yang, so you must run faster. They rushed to the back door to escape, but it was already too late. A spear broke down the door and caught Uncle. The man badly injured, his arm, blood gushed like a river. Uncle Chan calms them down and says that nothing serious happened, just scratched the shoulder. Imperial warriors were already standing at the threshold and declared that no one could leave this house. The boy sees his uncle is extremely ill because his hand hurts very badly. Then the main character stands up and points his index finger at his enemies. With tears in his eyes, he is about to use the very magic he learned in the darkness, Finger of Fantasy. Suddenly the uncle stands in front of Jin Yang and shields the boy with his back. He introduces himself and says that he is a candidate for the cabinet of ministers and now he has been wounded. The man threatens the warriors and says that they will be severely punished for this. As soon as the warriors hear this, their hands and hearts immediately start to get nervous because they did not want to wound such a respected person. Their leader approaches to see if the man's hand is not too badly injured. Uncle Jiang says that he came here because this is his friend's house. Can he enter here? Therefore he orders the warriors to get out, but they respond they cannot. The head of the guard is carrying out the order of the imperial family, so he has no right to retreat. Uncle Chang, I assure you, there is no one here except the nanny and the little child. Later it turned out he received an order to arrest Jin Hong's son. But Uncle insists that this is a mistake because this boy has just turned 8 years old. Uncle begins to cover for the boy. Could it be that they really want to punish a little child? The warrior is absolutely indifferent. He says he must carry out the imperial family's order. And if the man interferes in this process, they will have to take him too. Our hero intervenes in their conversation and tells them not to worry because he will obediently go with them. The main hero asks Uncle not to worry. He is sure that the government people will not do anything bad to him. But Jin Yang wants to know the reason why they are taking him away and also to see his father. The head of the guard says that his father was imprisoned under his supervision. This man allows the boy to see his father only on his own time. Uncle Chang is very worried about our hero and warns, this is very dangerous. Although Jin Yang is small, do not forget he is the first son of this house. Moreover, the father would not want his son to run away. No need to worry, nothing bad will happen. The head of the guard says that the thief's guilt has not yet been proven, so we need to wait a little. This is better than hiding and running away all your life. Immediately after this, the warriors take the little boy with them and head to the imperial estate. Evening has already come, a warm, gentle evening. Jin Yang was brought to the Jin Yue prison. Half of those who enter here never return. But even if someone manages to survive, they will lose their mind. This place is known as a true hell. Finally, they reached the required prison. Our hero's father was already inside. As soon as the boy saw his father, he immediately rushed to him. The exhausted Jin Hong was chained to the wall. Due to exhaustion, he lay unconscious. When the man opened his eyes and looked straight ahead, he was shocked. In this terrible place, he saw his son. Jin Yang wanted to approach his father, but the head of the guard stopped him. One cannot get so close to a criminal. Jin Hun did not understand why his son ended up here. This is definitely not his place. The main character cried bitterly because he was told that his father was a real criminal. The man rushed to the warrior and asked why they imprisoned his son here if he had nothing to do with it at all. But the head of the guard said that they were given such an order. As everyone knows, if you offend the imperial family, all relatives of the guilty will be killed. Jin Hun cried hard and begged to spare at least his son, even if he turned out to be a criminal. The warrior was not going to listen. He said he would return here later. After that, the warrior grabbed the little boy and led him away from here. Jin Hun remains completely alone in the cell. His voice drops to almost a whisper, but he still continues to beg to spare his son. Suddenly, the man heard a voice. It asked if he would obey him and do all the work if he spared his son. Turns out that all this time the emperor was standing in the shadow of the room listening and watching him. Jin Hun will beg him not to touch at least his son. If the man wants this, he must obey all the emperor's orders. If Jin Hun promises not to deceive and conducts the research properly, then he will not kill his son. Jin Yan was only insurance so that the man would not deceive the emperor again. Before the research is completed, the emperor plans to exile the boy. After some time, the ship heads to an island where mountains rise and dense vegetation grows. This is an isolated island in Shandong province. It is said that a prisoner who ends up there finds it incredibly difficult to escape. On the island, the newcomer was already ambushed by prisoners. They looked threatening and even creepy. Although the imperial soldiers claim that the prisoners are very kind and gentle, Jin Yan sees this is not true at all. The head of the guard is extremely dissatisfied that they sent a child into exile. Everyone believes that the boy is too young to be sent behind bars as a toy for the prisoners. In a second, the head orders to send the boy to room 1 to the old Guyan. Meanwhile, on the island, the soldiers lead our hero to his room. This place was hidden in a dark, creepy cave. Prisoners think that the child is too obedient, so they can have a fun time with him. Soon Jin Yang is brought out to the square in front of all the other prisoners. The man screams wildly for all the prisoners to be silent and listen to him. With one hand, he lifts the main character and introduces the newcomer to the prisoners. This boy's name is Ko Jin Yang. He is only 8 years old. He is still very young, so he will perform small tasks until he turns 10. Men definitely have terrible thoughts about Jin Yang in their heads, and they look at him as if he were prey. If the main character cries and fears them, this bearded thief is going to strip him completely. Cheritain concludes there is not a single adequate person on this island, and that hairy man is especially unpleasant. Prisoners fix their predatory gazes on the boy. Some time passed, the main character was lying on the floor of the prison. Soon he got up, brushed his eyes with his hand, and wiped them. Jin Yang recalled he lost consciousness as soon as he crossed the prison threshold. The boy himself does not know what to do in such a situation, so I plan to endure a few days and think it over. Suddenly someone screams incredibly loudly. The boy twitches. All the prisoners lined up for lunch. The same bearded man approached our hero and put his hand on his shoulder. The bearded man tells the boy to eat well, because if he does not eat, he will work poorly. All the prisoners had to decide on the little boy. The bearded man shouted at them and declared that this was the first and last indulgence for the newcomer. Jin Yang calms the man and says that everything is fine. The bearded man does this not out of mercy, so the boy better keep silent. Soon the main character also gets his portion of food. But when he looks at the plate, he feels nothing but disgust. The bearded man approaches him and pushes him away because if he has already taken his portion, he must step back. The boy's face shows that he does not want to eat. The man says if Jin Yang does not want to eat, it is important not to throw it away but to give it to someone else. And he cannot even reach what the boy got today. The bearded man clearly understood. If the child was sent to this island, it means his family did some harm to the imperial family. The prisoner asks, has our hero ever tried such food? Of course, the young man had never tried anything like that. Although their family was not very wealthy, he had never eaten anything like that. The boy looks at this plate with sadness. The words of this bearded man struck him right in the heart. It was clearly visible that Jin Yang was very dissatisfied with this. But in a moment, he gathered all his strength into a fist and said that he could eat it. The main character is going to endure until he gets out of here. He will eat anything to survive. A moment and he is already bringing the spoon to his mouth. Jin Yang literally choked on this food but still kept eating. Starting from today, the boy began to be given too many tasks. If he performed them poorly, he could even get hit on the head. Because of such physical exertion, everyone's hands were scratched and bleeding. Though at the first opportunity, Jin Yang tried to finally go to sleep. At night he engaged in studying magic. It was necessary to gather all the energy between the palms so that it compressed into a sphere. Very soon our hero will be able to take control of magic and destroy this terrible place. To collect mana, natural energy must be strong enough. The energy of this island is completely unsuitable for this. Therefore, the darkness wants to solve this problem. Morning came, the sun was already slowly creeping into the room. Suddenly, the main character felt someone's hands on him. Their fingers were sliding over him, clinging to him. Jin Yang was terribly sleepy, so he didn't immediately realize who it was. But later he realized, behind him sat some old bearded man and he was tugging at him with his hands. It was old man Gu Yan, but Jin Yang had no idea what he was doing. From the unexpectedness, the main character recoiled from him and cast a questioning look at him. But even despite this, the old man still continued to massage the boy. From Gu Yan's actions, all the heaviness and everything after work seemed to be lifted by a hand. Turns out the darkness knew all about this but said nothing to our hero. Certain did not tell about this because he thought it would be very useful for Jin Yang. And with his character, it was obvious that he would have refused if the old man had done a massage for him all night. The old man asked how the boy was feeling, and our hero sincerely thanked him for the massage. Jin Yang was a little tired, but overall everything was fine. The boy had no idea how hard it was for Gu Yan. Grandfather asks the boy how he ended up in this place. Then Jin Yang explains that he was sent into exile. Grandfather is surprised. If the imperial family is offended, the culprit and his family are killed, but the boy was sent to an island. Gu Yan comes to the conclusion the situation was ambiguous. Gu Yan had been watching Jin Yang all this time and concluded that he really is an incredible child. But grandfather also noticed some strange energy flows in his body and asks if the boy ever studied martial arts. The main character thinks that by strange energy, he means the Halton seal. Our hero realizes it will be incredibly difficult to tell the whole truth about certain. Jin Yang calmly replies that he never studied martial arts. The only thing he knows is a breathing technique taught to him by his father. Grandfather did not immediately understand which technique he was talking about, but decided that he meant abdominal breathing. That was the case, but it is not a martial art, just cleansing of the mind and body. Gu Yan pondered this but still ordered the boy not to overdo it. Now Grandpa is going to use our hero as an assistant, and since Jin Yang's body is weak, he won't last a year here, so he needs to train. Jin Yang thanks him for this, but is still not sure that the soldiers will allow it. Gu Yan takes all the responsibility upon himself so the boy cannot worry. Grandpa says the boy has nothing to thank for because he is doing it only for his own benefit. The next day came. From early morning, everyone was busy. Work did not let up. Grandpa gives our hero a new task to bring a tool from the warehouse. Strangely, as soon as the boy became the old man's subordinate, none of the prisoners bothered them anymore. This meant that Grandpa's influence here was very serious. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind. It was Bearded Man. It was Uncle Zin. He noticed that Jin Yang had been doing well lately. He had already heard the news that the boy had become Gu Yan's subordinate. It seemed the man was sincerely happy for him. But if Jin Yang had not become the grandfather's subordinate, Uncle Shin would have already claimed him for himself. Jin advises to make a good impression in front of Gu Yan. Bearded Man warned the boy, Gu Yan is a terrible person. Jin Yang wanted to learn more about the grandfather, so he directly asked the Bearded Man about it. He began to tell a story. When a new doju arrives, the predecessor always warns him. If he wants to leave this place as soon as possible, the doju position is high, but the status falls if he holds it in Changgundan. The reason everyone strives to please old Gu Yan is his sculpting skills. Sculptures he carves are immediately sent directly to the estate. There was one man who tried to suppress Gu Yan by force. But the old man did not submit and did not work for 10 days as a sign of protest, and 3 sculptures were missing from the imperial estate. After that, Doju received a letter. He is still in Changgundan for another 3 years. The man became insanely angry and ordered to urgently capture the old man. The enraged Doju threw a soldier into Gu Yan's cell. But in a moment, they were all lying on the floor and Gu Yan stood over them. Soldiers were stunned as soon as they saw such a scene. They immediately decided to attack, advancing with spears, swinging them with all their might. Gu Yan skillfully dodged. It seemed as if he was walking on the wind. With a light movement, he struck one of the soldiers. He immediately grimaced in pain. The blow was so strong that the poor fellow was thrown several meters back. The soldier crashed directly into a rock behind him, leaving a deep dent in it. As you saw this frozen place. But it was already too late. The old man, like lightning, was instantly behind them, right behind their backs. Gu Yan picked up a spear from the ground, the very one that once belonged to one of the soldiers. After that, he moved toward the other warriors, who were frozen with fear. Frozen place from fear. If they want to catch Gu Yan, they will have to throw all the soldiers onto this island and lose at least half. The arrogant and self-loving man was stunned that the old man dared to threaten him. In a second, Gu Yan threw a spear at him, but deliberately did not throw it all the way so that the spear fell right in front of his feet. From fear, Idachu fell to the ground and submitted. Gu Yan loomed over him like a rock and asked, would he choose to be imprisoned or get a promotion? The story ended with Dachu bowing his head and begging for forgiveness. Only then was he able to tame Gu Yan's anger. After 3 years, Dachu finally managed to leave the island. And after this story, no one messed with him. Unless old man Gu Yan himself wants to leave the stone mountain. Thus the months passed and the golden autumn came. The main character was still helping Gu Yan, but at the same time was very worried about how his father was doing. Grandfather somehow noticed Jin Yang is worried about his father. The boy's face is full of concern. The boy does not run away from this and honestly admits that he is truly worried. A very long time has passed since their last meeting, and Jin Young thinks that his father is still suffering. The son is now far away from him and cannot help in any way. The old man clearly sees that thoughts about the father deeply hurt the boy and cause him pain. But if Jin Young's thoughts continue to be like this, the distance between him and his father will only grow. Gu Yan advised Jin Young to forget about his father until he can take care of himself. Otherwise, the soul of our hero will burn out first. The main character listened to Gu Yan's advice and for some time cast aside thoughts about his father. The young man was not sure he could manage it. It seems too difficult. But the darkness says the meeting with the father will lose its meaning if he breaks down before that. Now it is important to do as the old man advised, because it will be temporary anyway. Jin Young wants to think positively, so he agrees with these words. The main character also noticed the soldier is not visible. He came here to replace grandfather's hammer. It was incredibly difficult because Jin Young cannot take this away from here by his own will. Suddenly Certain notices someone's trail and suggests the boy look at it. Unexpectedly, the main character hears someone calling him. It was Uncle Shin and another man. They asked the boy to come over for a minute. Our hero looked at them with distrust, but they asked again to come closer. Jin Young replies that he is deadly busy and it's already time to move on. Uncle Shin goes crazy because of the boy. He thought the boy was acting arrogantly only because old Gu Yan was taking care of him. But the main character never showed disrespect to the man. The man is angry at him because the boy did not come to him. Suddenly, the bearded man tears Jin Young from the ground and says that it is better for him not to move. Jin Young begs to be released, but Uncle Shin, it seems, has no intention to do so. Another prisoner ordered to take the boy's pants off, then they could beat out a bottle of alcohol. Jin Young finds it hard to believe that the man is doing all this for a bottle of alcohol. The boy understands he cannot resist physically, he is much weaker, but suddenly he remembers that it is not necessary to rely only on physical strength. Then the main character decides to use his magical abilities. Cheritan warns our hero this could turn out to be too dangerous for him. Then he asks Cheritan to tell him when the boy has accumulated enough energy to use magic. Jin Young warns Uncle Shin if he does not release him right now, he will regret it. The man mocks him, so our hero continues to accumulate mana. And in a second, Jin Young directs all his magic at the one who dared to offend him. Uncle Shin screams madly from unbearable burning pain that runs through his whole body. In a moment he falls to the floor and writhes in agony, clutching his heart. As soon as this happens, another prisoner runs up to his friend. He does not know how to help him. Meanwhile, the main character is still in shock from what he just did. Steam and smoke are coming from his hands. Night has already fallen. Gu Yan turns to the boy and asks if it is really that hard for him. But our hero quickly puts on a smile and says he can endure it. Then the gray-haired man freezes in thought and starts stroking his beard. Turns out Gu Yan has some proposal for our hero. The old man offers him to start learning martial arts. Jin Young is completely shocked by such a proposal. He does not understand who could become his teacher. Second passes, the old man puts forward his own candidacy and says he can teach the boy. Jin Young is a bit confused upon hearing that the old man decided to teach him. Could it be that he knows martial arts? It was obvious because there were rumors that Gu Yan beat more than a dozen soldiers, so probably the old man is already a Murim master. Gu Yan said that the boy should not consider him his mentor. Gu Yan plans to simply teach him only for his own reasons. The main character assumes the grandfather wants to teach him martial arts because he is worried about him. This offer is incredibly attractive, but Jin Young does not understand why Gu Yan does so much for him. Our hero does not consider this an ordinary act of kindness towards a child. But already after a second, the grandfather says, for his training the boy must give him one thing. The grandfather immediately warns, this will be a rather difficult matter. Firstly, getting off this island will be extremely difficult. This was true. To escape from Chingundan, one must put in a lot of effort. And if our hero wants to learn martial arts, Gu Yan will be able to teach him the basics. But the grandfather tells Jin Young not to answer right now, but first to think everything over well. This is not something that can be done easily and quickly. The grandfather gives the boy a whole 5 years to think. During this time, he must make a decision. The main character was frozen in shock as soon as he heard such a huge number, a whole 5 years. Gu Yan says that after this period, the mind and body of our hero will mature, and then the boy will be able to make the right decision. Moreover, it is impossible to master Gu Yan's techniques with Jin Young's body, the one he has now. The old man thinks that even 5 years will not be enough. Jin Yang perfectly understands, if he masters martial arts, surviving here will be much easier. Even saving his father will be easier this way, so Jin Yang promises to keep his grandfather's words. Some time passes, the main character sits on a stone and replays everything that happened in his mind. Dozens of thoughts are swirling in the little boy's head right now. Suddenly, the young man notices Uncle Shin and calls him. It seems that after everything that happened recently, the bearded man is a little afraid of the boy. When Jin Yang began to approach the man, he recoiled in fear. The main character kindly asks if the man's body has recovered after the recent event. Uncle Shin stammers a little from fear, his voice trembles, but he says that he is fine. He says for a burly man like him it was a trifle. Jin Yang gently smiles and says that he is very glad, everything is fine with the man. Uncle Shin starts muttering to himself something about Anita. He says he had an important matter, he almost forgot about it. As soon as this happened, the man jumps up and runs away. That's how he came up with a way to escape from our hero faster. The boy noticed that Uncle was acting very strangely, as if he saw a ghost or something similar. Cheritan says it was quite obvious. Yesterday the boy beat him very badly and now Uncle Shin is afraid of him. Darkness mockingly taunts the man and says that now his soul feels calmer. If Cheritan could go back in time, he would gladly burn that hairy burly man. He annoys him terribly. Although it looked quite silly, our hero was still glad. The magic worked as it should. Now the young man can protect himself and definitely will not suffer from that bearded man's bullying. Suddenly an old man approaches Jin Yang and asks if he is already prepared. The main hero smiles warmly and says that everything is ready. Immediately after this, the grandfather hands our hero a hammer. Gu Yan says that from today the boy will also break stones. The main character's task is to do the same thing the grandfather always did. You just need to break stones. Jin Yang is very surprised. He does not understand how this relates to martial arts at all. But Gu Yan says that it really is related to martial arts. He intends to teach Jin Yang the Jiangdan technique. Long ago, the old man was part of an organization based in the spiritual temple Tanshan. And this technique, which he wants to teach our hero, is really very useful for laying the foundation. It is perfect for creating the flow of qi and at the same time very effective for physical training. With these words, Gu Yan breaks a stone with one hand. Stone breaking is a preparatory stage, but you cannot rush this matter. Breathing and hammer strikes on the stone must fall into one rhythm. Within a second, the old man decides to start the training and orders the main character to begin. The weather outside was wonderful. Between the rocks there was a rather quiet silence. Since grandfather decided to teach Jin Yang martial arts, during the day he crushed stones and maintained his breathing balance. The main character worked diligently, although sometimes he hit his fingers with a hammer. At night, instead of sleeping, our hero hung on a stone wall. He did this to make his hands and fingers stronger. Even just hanging on the wall was unbearably painful, but the boy bravely endured it through tears. Although it was painful, it became much easier thanks to the technique of internal energy control and the power of finger imagination. Thus, a whole year passed. Jin Yang became significantly stronger and could already do pull-ups holding with only one hand. The boy became noticeably more agile and skillful than before. He easily jumped off the cliff. Grandfather approached him and asked if he had finished training. Jin Yang joyfully replied that the training was finally over. Gu Yan carefully studies our hero with his gaze and thinks whether his body has developed enough. There should be no problems transitioning to the next stage. It was truly unexpected. Jin Yang looked at grandfather as if waiting for an answer. He noticed that the old man was looking at him too attentively. The main character suspected that something was wrong with him, but the old man assured he was just lost in thought. Grandfather thinks that the boy is tired after training, so he tells him to go and rest. Jin Yang bows and thanks him for the training. After that, he turns around and walks away. Gu Yan watches him with his eyes and gets lost in thought. The old man thought that 5 years would be too little. But it turned out not to be so. It will not even be 10 years before Gu Yan teaches him everything he knows himself. I wonder if the mentor with a wonderful student also gets the same feeling. But a second later, Gu Yan throws these thoughts away because they slow down his development just the same. The old man does everything for the sake of the dreamed desire from the will. Jin Yang will definitely manage. Meanwhile, Jin Yang trains again instead of resting. He has accumulated energy and flashed past the stones like lightning, cutting them. Cheritan notices the boy's fingers are gradually getting used to this, and the magical power is growing just as quickly. Now it is possible to go beyond the second circle and move on to the third. No matter how hard Jin Yang tries, he still cannot remember the word circle. Then the main character decides to simplify this word and call it an ordinary circle for himself. At this stage, Jin Yang suggests changing the names of other spells to make them easier to understand. Light will be called light magic and flight magic. The main character looks at Cheritan and asks if he liked this idea. Cheritan does not like it, it sounds too primitive, but Jin Yang will do it his own way anyway. Now he wants to train his inner energy. After that, the main character begins to choose which boulder would be best for this. Soon the boy found the perfect option for training. Then he climbed onto it, sat in the lotus position, and aligned his breathing. The main character was completely focused on his own breathing and inner energy. After a few seconds, the boy was surrounded by a light blue glow, which lifted his black hair. This bright glow, as if sending out roots and branches, stretched toward the same chest from which it all began. Suddenly something changed. Darkness closed in around our hero. Jin Yang was very scared by this. He did not understand at all what was happening. The young man quickly recovered and realized, first he needed to stop this. When the boy did this, a strong dust and dirt rose around him and the boulder on which he was sitting. Cheritan noticed that our hero was behaving strangely and asked what had happened to him. It turns out that a large amount of energy suddenly flared up in the main hero's body. Could certain know what this is? In the darkness, it was explained that the power of the magic stone and the energy of the seal were mixing with each other. Turns out Jin Yang did not know about this at all. Cheritan explained that this energy had been mixing with each other for a long time. Jin Yang was outraged that Cheritan had not told him about this earlier, and the darkness simply thought it was obvious anyway. Though the speed of development grew so fast precisely because of the magic stone. Now our hero understood why he was growing faster even despite the lousy energy of this island. Turns out the magic stone and the energy of the seal simply replaced the energy he lacked. Cheritan says that when they first arrived on this island, he thought, the limit of our hero is the fourth circle. Now perhaps this boy can develop much more. Jin Yang is glowing from these words. He is going to test how far he can go. Evening has come. Our hero meditates and keeps his internal energy under control. Only a little more than 2 years have passed, and Jin Yang's abilities already equal 30 years of practice. Gu Yan wonders whether he should teach this child the last volume of Tianqian. From the beginning, he was not supposed to be in the outside world. In particular, the last volume was supposed to be kept in absolute secrecy. Gu Yan twitches from thought to thought. Should he pass on knowledge about it to at least someone? Moreover, it would be sad not to teach a child with such unparalleled abilities. After some time, the boy approaches the grandfather and asks if he has waited long. Gu Yan praises Jin Yang and notes that his internal energy is growing like yeast. The main character thanks his grandfather. All of this happened thanks to him and his training. In a second, the grandfather says he will pass the last volume of Tianqian to the boy. It can be said that he is the main one. This is one of the 3 great martial arts. Thanks to this, Jin Yang will be able to release his inner power and unleash it, controlling movement as he wishes. Simply put, this is the control of Qi. In the future, Gu Yan plans to teach Jin Yang this. Our hero is delighted by this and vows that he will definitely learn it. Already evening, Jin Yang sits on a stone and draws some pattern on the ground with a stick. Suddenly, Cheritan addresses him and asks what happened. The boy looks too sad. On the ground, Jin Yang draws ancient writings that his father studied at the request of the imperial estate. It turns out the boy was still able to understand a little of the meaning of these words. One of them is a spell, but not an ordinary one, a martial arts spell. The exact name in that world is unknown, but if translated into human language, it would sound like absorption of the energy of heaven and earth, soul control. Absorption of the power of heaven and earth, magic of soul control. The second tablet emphasizes that the obtained magical power can be released from oneself. It is important to properly use this great demonic ability. The main character is absolutely indifferent to its might and anger. He is most worried because the people who want to master this magic do not let his father leave. Recalling this, Jin Yang sank into melancholy again. Then Cheritan suggests the boy learn this martial art himself. Maybe there is no one else left on Earth suitable for this. But our hero does not have such a desire because he thinks he might become a demon. However, Cheritan believes if Jin Yang possesses this magic, he will be able to properly understand the power of stones and the magic of the seal. Moreover, our hero's power is insufficient. He cannot gather energy to release this magic. But if the young man masters this, it turns out he will be able to use the lightning strike. Realizing this, Jin Yang suddenly became interested, and Cheritan immediately understood. He had just said too much. In any case, with the boy's current abilities, nothing will come of it. His heart will simply burn out and he could die. Jin Yang sighs heavily, realizing that Cheritan is right. But the main character does not give up and declares that he must improve his abilities. He asks to wait another 3 years. In the evening, our hero breaks stones and carves a sculpture. Meanwhile, Gu Yan starts a conversation about the technique of heaven and earth. Certain divided the spell into 3 parts: the technique of heaven and earth, energy absorption, and soul control. Jin Yang believes it is better to hide the part about energy absorption and soul control. Therefore, the boy understands talking about the magic of martial arts is not the best idea. It is better to keep it hidden. Although Jin Yang did not tell Gu Yan much about it, the old man still concluded that it is a wonderful martial art. The old man thinks that it contains great power, so one must be extremely careful. The main character worries, will everything be alright if he studies Gu Yan's technique and this one? The reason why Tiantan is called one of the most important and strongest martial arts is not only its deep influence on Qi. It easily combines with other martial arts. For laying the foundations, it is better than anything else. Even when the source of power is weak, it is one of the 3 great martial arts. Jin Yang asks if it will be possible to learn them simultaneously. Gu Yan allows this because the technique of heaven and earth seems like a wonderful martial art, so it must be studied diligently. Soon the grandfather will say that he needs to go on business to the dojo. Before leaving, the old man asks the boy to finish the last details. They say goodbye. The main character is glowing. He can use 2 techniques together. Now only one thing remains to practice. At dawn, he will absorb yin energy, and during the day absorb yang energy. This way, he can start the circulation of the 2 energies. But first, the work must be finished. 3 days of intense hustle can be wasted, so act extremely carefully. Suddenly, Uncle Zin approaches our hero. He walks leaning on a cane. Jin Yang tells the bearded man that today he must finish this work. It seems the bearded man is still a bit afraid of the boy. He stammers. Suddenly, he sneaks up behind Jin Yang and swings a stick he was holding with all his might at him. Previously, Uncle Shin was the second person on this island. Old man Gu Yan, the first person, did not strive for supremacy on the island, so the bearded man acted as if he were the leader for all the prisoners. Thanks to this, Shin ate better than the others. Also, the man could only choose light help for himself. His life was wonderful until this child appeared on the island. This boy's strength grew every day. The little child managed to become the favorite of old Gu Yan. At some point, people began to treat him as if he were the second most important person, and Uncle Shin felt incredible envy and outrage. Because of this brat, Shin's position on the island was greatly shaken. The bearded man was already ready to accept that he was second, but would not get a third. 2 people were enough to lead everyone. Bordach recalls how he became the second man on the island when he was 22. And Uncle Sin tried to maintain his status for over a decade. Many of the prisoners looked at his place. The burly man dealt with everyone who tried to subjugate him. Even if he had to maim these people, the second place was still his. That's why Uncle Sin was so jealous and angry at Jin Yang, who brazenly took his place. The strange abilities of this young man made Borodach live in fear. He hid in corners like a rat. The man does not even think about giving his second place to anyone. A primal instinct burns in his eyes. While old Gu Yan is not nearby, the boy behaves inattentively and relaxed. Therefore, while Jin Yang sits with his back to him in such a vulnerable position, Sin wants to strike unexpectedly. The main character notices Uncle Sin has been completely silent for a very long time. Suddenly, Jin Yang felt the smell of malice in the air, and Cheritan sharply shouted, "Dodge." Unfortunately, Jin Yang did not manage to react in time. The man painfully hit him on the shoulder, and he dropped the tool. Fortunately, the boy had a hammer in his hands. With it, he could defend himself. Only after a second did Jin Yang realize how serious the whole situation was. He felt the bearded man was again raising the stick to finish off the young man. But this time, Jin Yang reacted in time and instantly covered himself, blocking the blow with his hand. Uncle Shin definitely did not expect that Jin Yang would manage to fend off his unexpected attack. The boy snatched the stick from the man's hands and pulled it towards himself with all his might. After that, the main character focused and prepared to strike back. Within a second, the main character flew in with a headbutt straight to the jaw. From such a strong blow, the man flew several meters back and approached the edge of the cliff. Our hero realized he had overdone it, so he quickly caught up with Uncle Shin. The bearded man was already falling down. If he slipped and fell, he would definitely break on the sharp rocks. Fortunately, Jin Yan managed to grab the man's hand in time. The boy is holding the burly man with all his might with one hand. He asks Uncle Shin to hold on tighter. If he lets go of his hand, he will definitely perish. The bearded man looked down and realized there is a whole pile of sharp stones there. Shin, with tears in his eyes, begs the boy save him. This is his last hope. Cheritan, I don't understand. Why does Jin Yan want to save this bastard if he tried to maim him? Darkness whispers that no one will find out that the boy was involved anyway. Among those watching them, there are those who saw everything that happened, and there is also someone who is watching the bearded man. If our hero lets go of the hand now, people will decide that he killed him. Jin Yan must avoid murder charges. Now he's going to pull the man up. When the bearded man felt the ground under his feet again, he fell to it and started trembling. The main character warns, if the man does something like that again, he will not let it go so easily. Uncle Sin weeps bitter tears and promises he will never do such a thing to anyone again. Jin Yang sighs heavily. It seems like he is talking to a small child. Jin Yang blamed himself for being hit and attacked, but he was simply inattentive. If it had been a sword, not a stick, the boy's hand would have been cut off and he would definitely have died from blood loss. Jin Yang had already relaxed, his abilities had grown, so he needed to be more cautious. Our hero turned to the darkness and told it to be cautious as well. It was already night. A mustached man was intently looking out the window. Suddenly he heard someone knocking at the door. Guests came to Dachu. It was Gu Yan. It seemed he had some business with Dachu. Dachu did not know the reason for the old man's visit, so he asked him directly. It turned out the old man had a request for Dachu. Another day passed. Everyone worked diligently and attended to their own affairs. The soldier shouts loudly and tells the prisoners, lunchtime. After lunch, they will start working again. The prisoner shouts to the others that it is lunchtime. Everyone rejoiced. It was lunchtime because the prisoners were already hungry. But our hero only sighed heavily and folded his hands. 6 years have passed since that conversation with old Gu Yan. During this time, a lot happened. Uncle Zin approached Jin Yang and asked if he was going to come down. The main character kindly says that Uncle Zin can go first. And the biggest change covered their communication with the bearded uncle. On the day when that terrible event happened. That day, Uncle Zin was kneeling and apologizing to Gu Yan for what he had done. Since then, the grandfather ordered this scoundrel to treat our hero as if he were his leader. Jin Yang saved him, although Zin almost killed him, so the man must repay him with kindness. Yes, the bearded uncle became Jin Yang's assistant. Today the sun was terribly hot. Gu Yan said, the hotter it is, the better for the young man. Yin and Yang are the harmony of heaven and earth. The main character just has to accept them. 6 years have passed since then. Time kept rolling on relentlessly. Jin Yang had already begun to doubt whether he would ever manage to escape from this terrible island. If the boy masters all the martial arts of his grandfather, how strong will he become? This martial art the man learned himself after his master gave it to him. Overall, Gu Yan never compared himself to others. They say his mentor was among the top 10 masters in the world. Gu Yan could not compete with the mentor because he was killed, but the grandfather does not consider himself weaker. The old man asked if the boy wanted to learn this. 10 best masters in the world are those 10 greatest masters in the world. So this martial art equals 1/10 of the heavens. If someone heard this, they would definitely laugh. After 5 years of training that have passed, Jin Yang does not know if he can compare, but he is definitely sure of one thing: his grandfather's martial art is no joke. The main character diligently prepares to learn and fulfill his grandfather's request. Then the grandfather was going to tell him everything tonight. Night fell. They reached the edge of the cliff. At first, Gu Yan was going to teach him Shinsubekta. It was an incredibly unusual technique. It involved hundreds of movements. It has neither a beginning nor an end. And the forms of this technique were endless. Harmony is valued here, so during movements one must pay attention to it. Fighters of the Central Lands call this Eastern martial art. Gu Yan coughed up blood after applying this technique. His body was no longer the same as before. But this was free martial art. At first, it will be necessary to try very hard because it will be difficult. But Jin Yang is ready to give his all because he knows, after training, he will gain freedom. Grandfather also pondered the boy's words about freedom. Gu Yan did not understand. Is the student talking about martial arts or about escaping from Chingundan? Grandfather stubbornly insists that he does not care about what Jin Yang thinks. Gu Yan decides to tell our hero about one place. Grandfather went to his daughter because he had a request for her. Dachu was surprised. Gu Yan is asking him for something. Gu Yan asked for permission so that the child named Jin Yang could move freely around the island. In return, grandfather intends to repay this and promises to create a special thing in 1 month. Dachu became interested as soon as he heard about some special thing in 1 month. It concerned what Gu Yan usually did. For this, he demanded that the child be given freedom. This turned out to be incredibly unexpected because grandfather does a lot for this child. Could it be that nothing more is needed? For starters, Gu Yan will have enough of this. Dachu will remove the shackles from him and provide him freedom in the Stone Mountains. Dachu says that leaving the Stone Mountains is not allowed. Also, Guyan asks for permission to use the Eastern Cave. Dachu allowed doing anything with this cave, it is empty anyway. Guyan thanked Dachu for the permission. After some time, grandfather led the main character to the cave. This cave was uncovered during excavations. For about 50 years it was used as a house for workers. After the mountain in the west was developed, the housing was moved there, but it was completely empty because it was too far from the development site. Grandfather insisted that this cave was by no means unnecessary. There's an open place here known only to Guyan. This was the place that pulled grandfather from the boundary between life and death. After some time, they again go out to the same place. There was some kind of red waterfall here. That's the whole secret of this cave. Grandfather called this place highly ancient. Guyan was incredibly grateful to this place, and very soon Jin Yang himself will understand why. After some time, the main character began training. Even in the rain, Jin Yang stubbornly continued to train. And after such hard training, our hero came to the same place, entered the spring, and rested. Both day and night, the main character tirelessly trained diligently, accumulating his energy. Thus summer was replaced by autumn, and autumn by winter. Some time passed, night again covered the earth, and Guyan ordered the boy to start. Jin Yang gathered his thoughts, accumulated energy, and balanced his breathing. Now he was ready for training. In a second, the boy struck the air with his fist. After this, our hero began a series of strikes showing the technique he had learned. His fist was already ready for the next blow. In a second, the main hero again strikes the air with his fist and sends a beam of energy straight ahead. Grandfather carefully watched every movement of his student so as not to miss a single detail. Our hero was glowing with self-satisfaction. A smug smile froze on his face. Guyan already felt it was time to put a full stop. Workday came to an end, and they were returning to their room. Jin Yang was satisfied with today's day, although it had seemed incredibly hard. Suddenly, our hero noticed grandfather does not enter the room. Guyan says that this time Jin Yang must board the ship and leave this island. Turns out grandfather had already arranged this matter with his daughter. So our hero cannot worry about anything and just leave. This news stunned the boy. Jin Yang remembers himself as a child a few years ago. Many years have passed since then. Jin Yang was worried that his grandfather would be bored without him. As soon as Guyan sends the boy away from here, he will prepare to do something special. Moreover, he will still need to take care of Xin, so there will be no time to be bored. Jin Yang was glad that his grandfather would have no time to be bored and that there would be tasks to do. Now our hero would like to hear Guyan's request. The gray-haired man silently looks at the young man, running his next words through his mind. Guyan notices our hero has now become many times stronger. In a second, the old man voices the request, and Jin Yang is so shocked. Some time passed, the ship departed from the island. On the ship, they were transporting sculptures made by Guyan. It was important that they arrived intact and valuable. The soldier watches intently the boy working on the sculpture. Our hero was wrapped in bandages to the extent that his face was completely invisible. The soldier fiercely shouted at another subordinate for bringing a sick person onto the ship. He meant the boy in bandages. The man tries to smooth over the conflict and says that this boy only has wounds on his face, and they even paid him half the price. The soldier is pleased that they managed to save money this way. Next time, the soldier says to hire only normal, healthy people. Soon the last sculpture was loaded onto the ship. After that, they raised the anchor and prepared to set sail. Jin Yang looked overboard as they sailed further and further away from the island. The young man slightly moved the bandages from his face to breathe fresh air. Of course, Jin Yang thought that someday he would finally be able to leave this island. Now everything looks so unreal, like a dream. When the main character returns to the mainland, he will have to do two things. First thing he wants to do is save his father. Suddenly, Jin Yang notices Guyan at the edge of the cliff. He watches him with his gaze. He was glowing with joy upon seeing his teacher farewell. In fact, Jin Yang even feels a little sad that he is saying goodbye to his grandfather. Very soon the ship will almost disappear beyond the horizon. That day the grandfather confessed. His real name is Guyan Mubek. Even Dachu does not know this because in their records he is listed as Guyan. The main character is instantly shocked by such news, and the grandfather had been hiding his name all this time. If this name is heard anywhere outside the island, they will be killed. Everyone, even those whose names just happen to match, they die. There's one person who can definitely do this. The main character freezes in shock. There is a person in the world who behaves so cruelly. Guyan asks when Jin Yang gets off the island, let him find the grandfather's brother Guyan Mujian and kill him. The main character is struck with shock. The grandfather asks to kill his own brother. Maybe Jin Yon is mistaken, but he immediately thought that Guyan Mujun is the same person from the 10 Heavenly Masters. Turns out it really was so. When the young man heard this name among the Heavenly Masters, for some reason he immediately thought of his grandfather. Our hero had no idea that they were somehow connected. Jin Yon did not understand why Gu Yan wanted to kill his own relative. In fact, he is not the grandfather's biological brother, the parents simply adopted him. First, Guyan Mujun is his enemy, the very one who killed his parents whom he loved so much. The main hero does not know what to say in response to such a sad and tragic story. Then Gu Yan returned from 20 years of travels with his master. But it was already too late, their entire house was burning and lay in ruins. Everyone the man loved and valued was killed by the hands of Guyan Mujun mercilessly, one by one. Gu Yan could not stop bitter tears, his own world was collapsing right before his eyes. He was not ready for this. It was through his own tears and sorrow that Gu Yan did not notice how this scoundrel sneaked up behind him. In his hands was a blood-stained sword, on the blade of which the blood of Gu Yan's relatives and close people had dried. And because Gu Yan did not notice his enemy, he delivered a treacherous strike to him. When the bastard did this, he dragged the weakened and barely alive man somewhere into the mountains. Although Gu Yan was almost losing consciousness and life was slipping away from him, he still asked why his brother did this. Gu Yan answered, he simply repaid a debt and reclaimed what was his. But even after that, Gu Yan could not understand his brother's answer. Although he was not his biological brother, nor a biological child in the family, yet the man still could not comprehend how he could kill the adoptive parents who raised him for 30 years. Gu Yan mercilessly got rid of his brother, threw him down from a cliff. So far, Gu Yan has not been able to find out what debt his brother was talking about. Gu Yan was incredibly lucky to be thrown onto this island, but his body was severely mutilated, so he had to give up revenge. The grandfather gave up everything and lived on until he met Jin Yang. The inner strength and abilities of our hero grew in this barren environment. As soon as the old man saw potential in him, he immediately decided to take a step and ask for it. He asked Jin Yang to carry out the revenge instead of him. Gu Yan does not intend to force the boy, but when Jin Yang fulfills his wishes, the grandfather asks him to fulfill his as well. Cheritan notices the main hero is in some strange mood right now. Finally, Jin Yang opened his eyes. Today turned out to be a gloomy day, and nothing is visible in the sea. Thanks to the grandfather in Jiangandong, no terrible situations happened to our hero, so he is very grateful to him. The fact that Jin Yang became stronger is the grandfather's merit, but magic also played a big role. Perhaps Gu Yan was watching over the boy to use him for revenge. Maybe that was the case, but Jin Yang still intended to fulfill his request. Jin Yang does not know his intentions at all, but since he has already received help from the grandfather, he must repay it. The main character perfectly understands the grandfather's feelings. He himself also lost his family. Cheritan, unlike him, finds it hard to comprehend this. Suddenly, drops begin to fall from the sky, the rain spreads. Cheritan tells the young man to go inside, because if he stays here, he will get wet. After some time, all the people gathered on the deck. They were terribly anxious. The weather suddenly worsened, strong waves rose in the sea, and the ship rocked from side to side. The man perfectly understood that the wind was strengthening, and that was very bad. Fortunately, nothing serious happened to the ship yet. The wind just started blowing even stronger. Suddenly, they notice something terribly awful, something that makes them freeze in place from sheer fear. The sky was covered with black clouds, and a lightning bolt suddenly burst from them. It struck right into the sea, raising strong waves. Everyone on the ship was very frightened. They began to think that they had no chance of survival. The bearded man tries to stop the panic and tells them that everything will be fine. The main thing is to get out of the epicenter. Then everyone immediately panicked. Cheritan assumed that a spatial wall had opened and was quite surprised. Suddenly, Cheritan also froze in place. He had just seen what happened before him. Their ship was about to be covered by a giant wave. The main hero ordered Cheritan to grab onto something so as not to fall overboard. But in a moment, the huge wave covered the ship. People and things on it flew overboard with a crash. Jin Yang found himself underwater. He started coughing, panicked, and could not get air. But within a second, the young man calmed down and headed to the surface. In a few seconds, Jin Yang surfaced and gulped air. If our hero had stayed underwater a little longer, he definitely would have died. Jin Yang sharply looked around and froze in shock when he saw the ship was destroyed and the people had gone to the bottom. It was a real horror. Many people died. Suddenly, another giant wave was approaching our hero again. There was no time to delay. He had to grab at least some magic. Then Jin Yang quickly oriented himself and used flight magic. Within a second, he had already flown above the water. Fortunately, the main character managed to take off. It was wonderful, but due to such a strong wind, it was extremely difficult for the main character to maintain balance. The wind was too wild. Jin Yang couldn't hold on and fell back into the sea. Even with the magic of flight, it was impossible to get out of here. Then Cheritan offers our hero an alternative, to summon a spirit. But the main character doesn't understand where a spirit could be here. He doesn't believe in this idea. Cheritan is not joking. When the lightning struck, he felt the spatial gates open. Jin Yang doesn't understand at all how this could be connected to a spirit. Cheritan continues and says that he felt several creatures in this crack. Those were the spirits. Two different worlds that were never meant to meet, but because of this lightning, a weak connection appeared. And the creatures from another world that Cheritan felt seemed to be gathering near these cracks of the expanded dimension. Darkness cannot say for sure, but perhaps among these creatures there are spirits. Cheritan advises the young man to summon the spirits gathered near the crack between dimensions. But it is dangerous to just scatter the remaining energy like that. There is a chance he might summon not a spirit but someone else. It is very dangerous to do this in such a place. If some worthless creature like Cheritan appears, then Jin Yang will definitely die here. Certain assures that everything will be fine because he does not feel any evil energy from the crack. Darkness commands the boy to gather his thoughts and finally summon the spirit. Because there is no other way, only one thing remains to try. The greatest probability was with the air element, so Cheritan advises the boy to summon the spirit of the wind. Cheritan says he will handle the details himself. In a second, Jin Yang begins to recite the spell. He summons the spirit that rules the winds, Mother Nature. Now he will make a soul contract with it. Nothing happened, so the young man decides that he did something wrong. Cheritan finds this strange. He is sure something was supposed to appear. Jin Yang sees no one, so he decides that he wasted his strength in vain. Jin Yang is already starting to regret listening to certain, but suddenly someone appears before his face. It was a little fairy with wonderful purple wings. The fairy had long emerald hair, large purple wings, and a beautiful dress. She came for the one who wanted to make a contract. The main character was shocked that he really managed to do it. The fairy had little time, so she asked the boy, "Quickly say what you want." The fairy was very strict and again asked the boy to tell everything faster. The fairy had just jumped over spatial walls and now is falling from exhaustion. Jin Yang could not calm down. His soul was itching. Usually this only happens to him with certain. Jin Yang asks if the fairy agrees to make a contract with the boy. The fairy agrees because our hero has a lot of mana. Because of this, they make a contract. This fairy is called Sylphina. She admits that she is making a contract with the boy. Sylphina stretches, yawns, and says that she is very tired, so she wants to rest. She looks around, trying to understand what kind of place this is, and she regrets it because she approached the barrier. Cheritan thinks that this spirit is just immature, hence such strange behavior. The main character thinks it would have been better not to call this fairy. She won't do anything anyway. They clearly see the storm beginning to intensify. The lightning strikes are getting closer and closer. Jin Yang realizes if this continues, they definitely won't get out of here. Sylphina is outraged because of the terrible wind here and decides to remove it right now. In a second, Sylphina used her magic and with one light movement cleared the thick clouds. Jin Yang and Cheritan were shocked. In a few seconds, the sky became clear again. It's amazing that Sylphina got rid of the wind, but Jin Yang had no idea he would find himself in the midst of a motionless sea. To lift this plank into the sky, so much magic will be needed that flying in vain is impossible. Just rocking on the waves is definitely not an option. Sylphina, of course, can raise the wind so they can sail, but she is tired and doesn't want to. The fairy just wants to rest. But they had already rested for 3 whole days anyway. In reality, Sylphina just doesn't like to work. She wants to spend her whole life just resting. The main character asked again for her to push this board with magic. Sylphina really does not like it, and she begins to think that she took the wrong master. Then Cheritan approaches the boy and asks him, "Look there." When a young man looks at the horizon, he sees ships there. They are too far away, so it is hard to make them out. Sylphina was exactly the one pushing that board with the wind. Jin Yang asks her to secretly conduct reconnaissance, fly there and see what ships are on the horizon. Fortunately, Sylphina knows what ships look like in the human world because she is not a stupid demon. Cheritan was boiling with indignation. Some lazybones was even babbling about demons, but Jin Yang completely agreed with her. Jin Yang tells the darkness to calm down. Sylphina doesn't even know about his existence. Although Cheritan is not the king of spirits, he can lose respect while associating with her. No third-rate spirit has the right to gape its mouth. Soon Sylphina returned. She confirmed it was a ship and there were people on it. She also said that these people on the ship are fighting right now. Turns out there was not just one vessel, a whole two. On board one of the ships, a real fight was unfolding right now. Jin Yang swam up to the ship and quietly watched the battle of strangers. He was uneasy about whether he could board. But in a moment, our hero suddenly jumped onto the ship. When Jin Yang jumped onto the ship, he immediately saw the corpse of some man lying in his own blood. He was a bit confused and scared by such a surprise. Jin Yang only noticed that there were a lot of dead bodies and blood on board. It looked terrible. Could this really be reality? Jin Yang must gather his thoughts to step into this cruel world. If this makes him tremble, he definitely won't do anything. At first, the young man decided to calm down. He needed to figure out what was what. He notices on the head of one of the men is a bandage with a painted sea dragon. Their opponents were pirates. Perhaps they were attacked. Then the main hero had already made a choice against whom he would fight in this struggle. Suddenly, someone noticed our hero. He did not waste a second. The pirate with an axe immediately lunged at Jin Yang, preparing to chop him. The pirate moved too slowly for the young man, so he easily dodged. In a second, Jin Yang struck this scoundrel in the face with all his might. From such a blow, this villain flew several meters back. The other pirates were shocked by this unexpected turn. They froze in place from fear. The main hero took advantage of the pirates being stunned, so in a second he managed to hit another bastard. With excessive force, the young man pressed him into the floor, breaking it. Jin Yang was inflamed with rage, ready to fight. The pirates also felt his determination, so they were scared, as if they sensed the power of their enemy. After a few seconds, Jin Yang swiftly scattered all who stood in his way. The main hero, without any regret or doubt, the pirates were weakening before their eyes. The man from the sea dragons was in shock. These bastards dared to attack them. He is going to take revenge. Central troops will not let this go so easily. But the pirate leader was too confident. He was going to finish off all the sea dragons. Our hero rushed to the pirate to save the sea dragon, who was in a difficult situation. In a moment, the young man summoned magic and cut down this bastard. The pirate did not expect this at all. He did not understand at all where this guy came from. Then Jin Yang again turns to Sylphina to ask for something, and the fairy again complains that she is tired. The boy asks her to help him regulate the wind magic, and then he will allow her to rest. The pirate boiled with such impudence. Could this scoundrel be underestimating him? In a second, the pirate rushed at the youth, but he was already prepared for the strike. A moment passed. Jin Yang used wind magic, and with a sharp movement lifted this scoundrel into the air. The pirate captain did not understand at all what had happened. He had never dealt with anything like this before. Our hero pushed the wind straight into the sea along with this man. In a moment, he had already fallen into the water. It was very sad that the pirates would now become shark food, but this could be called karma. At that very moment, a shark emerged from the sea and was already deliciously nibbling on this scoundrel. A second later, the head of the sea dragons approached our hero, and Jin Yang introduced himself to him respectfully. As soon as the pirates saw that their captain had died, they rose at the shout and began insisting that they must retreat. None of the pirates understood where this stranger who killed their captain had come from. The pirates were outraged but still warned, this is not the end yet. They will definitely return to defeat Cho Jiangmyeon. Jiangmyeon watches the pirate ship slowly moving away. The man shifts his gaze back to the deck. There were so many wounded and dead here. A second later, our hero approaches him and asks if he feels well. Yongmayang immediately bows low as soon as he sees the stranger who saved them. He is grateful to him for this. But the head of the sea dragons does not understand where the young man came from, because no ship was visible nearby. Jin Yang calmly explains, the ship he was sailing on sank. Therefore, the main hero had to drift on the cabin door. He points to the plank which calmly rocks on the sea waves. In a second, a girl appears from somewhere and confirms to her father that the stranger's words are true. It was Yeon Hyung, the daughter of the head of the sea dragons. The girl looked simply wonderful, and what impressed Jin Yang the most were her incredible eyes. Yeon Hyung admits she saw through a gap how the stranger swam to their ship on that plank. And the young lady knew about the dragon drawing on the door. And if the girl remembers correctly, then this is the cabin door on the ship Sinryangho. Even from the deck, this sign is almost impossible to see, but the girl managed to. It is strange that this lady was able to recognize this pattern from such a small crack. This means that the ship Sinryangho got caught in a storm and crashed. But our hero does not look like a sailor, so Jiang Myeon asks the young man, did he really sail on that ship? The main character is firmly convinced he did sail on that ship, and he proves it by saying that he was once a temporary sailor. They loaded the things and on the way ran into a storm. The ship was overturned by a strong wind. It was very sad that such a large ship disappeared without a trace. Yeon Hyang was intently looking at her father, feeling the sadness trembling within him. She thinks that her father needs to rest, and this stranger is probably exhausted too. He sailed for 3 days. Standing here like this is rude. That is why the girl says the father will be able to ask the stranger for details later. In any case, Jeong Myeon thanks the boy for the rescue. If it were not for him, they would have had serious problems. He advises the young man to rest, and later he will visit him. Jin Yeon promises that a little later he will tell him all the details of what happened. Then our hero heads to the cabin and sits down to rest. Yeon Hyun is surprised. This guy easily looks her in the eyes as if nothing happened. Besides her family, no one else can look her calmly in the eyes like that. Young Mayang asks again, are all of Jin Mayang's words really true? The young lady was sure there was no lie in the young man's words. The heavenly prophecy reveals lies and truth. The eyes of divine providence will not allow deceit. If the ship collided with a storm, it means the father's friends are most likely already dead. It is natural for a sailor to die at sea, everyone says so. In the end, the man lost good sailors while searching for his friend's ship. The father regrets taking his daughter on the voyage, but the girl insists she wanted it herself. It was already night. The main character revealed everything he knows to the man. The head of the sea dragons asked what the guy plans to do next. While they are sailing to the shore, our hero is preparing to head north. The young man has an important matter, and he must definitely accomplish it. Though tomorrow they will still be flying, and then they will change course to the land. The morning of the next day came. The land was already visible from the ship. Jin Yang looked down at his feet and realized, somewhere there is his father. The boy is very worried. Is he still alive? Is he okay? But in a moment he dismisses these pessimistic thoughts and insists, the father must definitely be alive. Finally, Jin Yang returned. Soon the ship docked on the shore. Jin Yang was delighted. He himself no longer remembered what it was like to be on land, not on an island. 3 men appeared before them. One was more robust than the others. It seemed they were waiting for them. Young Mayang bows before these people and says that the uncle has returned. The bearded gray-haired man praises Jeong Myeon because he tried very hard and it was visible. Lately, the pirates have been taking the herd more and more brazenly. This greatly worries the man. Moreover, a strong wind has risen. Yeon Hyang has already checked Jin Yeon and confirmed everything he said is pure truth. Then the burly man calls our hero and asks him to step aside for a minute. This man's name is Yuk Ho. He is the commander of the Sea Dragon Fleet, and he is very grateful to the boy for saving the people. But he still needs to hear something from the young man. For these talks, the man invites the rescuer to come inside. But Jin Yeon warns he will be able to tell little, so it is not worth expecting too much from him. Our hero was looked at with eyes full of curiosity. But Jin Yeon does not care about the looks at him. He is only concerned with the beautiful eyes of Yeon Hyang. But Cheritan does not understand at all what is special about the girl's eyes. On the contrary, it seems to him that she is constantly dissatisfied with something. Cheritan says that the girl looked straight into their souls from the very beginning, and there is nothing good in such eyes. That is why Jin Yang clouded her mind with illusion magic so that she could not see through their lies. But Cheritanu is still a little scared because this girl looks too much like the celestial beings. Jin Yang wants to drop this topic. The wind rages, a storm rises, and that huge ship instantly sinks, with only one person surviving. The main character agrees with these words and says that he was just lucky. After that, Jin Yang told them that he was a temporary sailor. Yuk Ho knows even a temporary sailor cannot get on the Sinryanho if no one recommended him. Only truly carefully selected sailors are taken on this ship. The man asks who exactly recommended the boy for the ship, but no one even noticed how Sinryanho disappeared. It always regularly went to Gyeonggundan. And suddenly only one person remains alive and the ship itself sank during the storm. This looks very suspicious. And the problem is that the one who survived is a person unknown to anyone. Of course, those who sailed away that same day insisted on strong wind and waves. No one even mentioned a single word about a storm. Perhaps the storm started only where the spatial wall was opened. But Jin Yang does not believe that these people will believe in the existence of the spatial wall. Perhaps they will even decide that the young man simply lied. Our hero decided to ask directly what exactly these people want to find out from him. Turns out these people wanted to find out who this stranger was. If it really was a storm, it could have flooded any ship despite its large size. But even those who, you could say, were born at sea could not get out of there, and yet Jin Yang survived, relying only on the cabin door. Regardless of the fact that Jeong Myeon recognized the young man as a skilled fighter, Yuk Ho finds it hard to believe. Now the guy already understood what it was about. He laughed a little and immediately attracted the guard's attention. Jin Yan did not understand how one could distrust people to such an extent. One of the soldiers, hearing such insolence, was about to punish him. All present only silently watched, their mouths slightly open and their eyes fixed. Our hero clearly understood. Everyone was simply curious about what he was capable of, but in a second the guard fired a strike and hit the young man hard. From such a blow, Jin Yang flew back, but still perfectly kept his footing and blocked it. And the guard quickly moved towards him. The man swung again, but the young man skillfully dodged the blow. The guard did not retreat and again rushed at the young man to finish him off with another strike. But the main hero skillfully blocks absolutely all his blows and does not think of attacking in response. But in a moment, Jin Yang responds with a counterattack. The young man showed all his mastery. In a moment, the main hero strikes again, this time with his foot. This blow was decisive. It was so strong that dust rose around. Yang Haiyan was also shocked by what she had just seen. Though Jin Yang showed everyone present that he was truly a very skilled fighter. But it seems that for our hero, it was not difficult at all. The soldier was beaten and lay unconscious on the ground. The man was completely out of consciousness. Everyone was shocked by the displayed strength. Their mouths even dropped open in surprise. Jin Yang was so fast that the soldier didn't even manage to see a single movement. He doesn't understand how this is even possible. Yuk-di-ha gives the order to Commander Guak to personally check this boy. Immediately after that, Warrior Guak goes out to the square to test the boy's abilities and praises his movements. They interrogate the main character again, but he has already explained everything to them long ago. Then Guak apologizes and prepares to draw his sword to start the duel. The red-haired man is going to interrogate Jin Yang with his own sword. There is excitement playing on his lips. Only a second passed and the fight was already in full swing. Warrior Guak lunges at our hero. Jin Yang quickly dodges, skillfully jumping behind his opponent's back. The red-haired soldier continues his attacks, but all of them are in vain. The young man skillfully evades each one. It seems the boy wasn't even trying hard to dodge, he was just performing these movements. Jin Yang strikes the opponent hard in the chest. Guak recoils in surprise. The blow turned out to be so powerful, even though the boy was in an unstable position. It created the impression that in front of him stood not just a boy, but a real monster. Therefore, Guak decides he must give his all because his opponent is also very strong. Jin Yang feels the soldier is drawing energy from the Tao. In a moment, he launches an attack. His strike was too powerful. The main hero immediately felt this strength. Soldier Guak assured this time the young man would have to not just hold against his strength and attacks. Then the man activates a technique called crosscut, but Jin Yang skillfully deflects it with one fist. Purple smoke spreads everywhere. There was an incredible amount of it. The young man looks straight ahead, unwavering and confident. The youth warns if the soldier continues to push the same line, he will no longer restrain his power and will show what he is capable of. It seems Guak was barely holding on even then. Blood was dripping from his hand. After this, the soldier bows to the leader and says he has stained the name of the sea dragons by failing to defeat this boy, so he can no longer serve. But Yuk-di-ha says it's all right. None of them expected the boy to be so strong. The soldier suffered because of the leader's greed. Yuk-di-ho approaches the young man and apologizes. He is sure, in their place, he would have done the same. He is very sorry that he could not properly respond to the boy's help. Instead, he only caused failures and problems. So Jin Yang wants to ask for something in return. As the young man knows, the sea dragons have no equal in gathering information. This was really true. Yuk-di-ho asks what exactly the boy wants to find out. The main character admits he wants to learn a little more about the estate. But disclosing this information is extremely dangerous, and Yuk-di-ho understands this perfectly. Yuk-di-ho swears he will do everything possible, but what Jin Yang is looking for could bring great risks to the fleet. The boy just wants to find out where a few people are kept. If that is not possible, he will not insist. Suddenly, a girl interrupts their conversation. She remembers that the boy was going north. Jin Yang confirms her words. She says that they also have a few matters on the way to the north. She wants to tell him something. Our hero, of course, does not refuse to listen to her. They enter the room, sit at the table, and pour tea to discuss something important. Yan Hyang was talking about accompaniment. Sister Ha is extremely important for the Merchants Association. But recently, the way there has not been easy at all. It has become too dangerous, so Sister Ha requested support from the Sea Dragon's fleet. Therefore, most likely, in a few days they will set off north. Our hero asked if they could trust a person they have only known for a few days. The girl says that she will also have to go there because Sister said she wants to meet with her. Unfortunately, recently they have been suffering very heavy losses due to pirates. Too many talented masters have died, and in such a situation it is unknown when a complaint from the association will reach them. Turns out the young lady could not refuse Sister Ha. If it has come to this, Yan Hyang can only trust her own eyes. And if the girl was mistaken, then she will also face danger. It seems the young lady was very nervous. Her hands were trembling, although it was not visible on her face. Jin Yon sighed heavily, but a moment later said that he agreed to take on this job. Garatan reproaches the boy for being too soft and not knowing how to say the word no. Turns out they wanted to take the boy not because they lacked people. She cannot see the true essence of this boy, as if something repeatedly stands in her way. A master of his level cannot be a temporary sailor. This was the only case in the girl's life when she could not see a person's soul. She can only worry because I do not know what is on his mind. Yon Hyang understands that after meeting this boy, she began to behave strangely. Some time passed, they were preparing for a trip to the north. Jin Yon approached the girl and asked, "Isn't he wearing a scientist's outfit now?" The main character did not understand why he was given such clothes. Yon Hyang said that this would solve the problem with the boy's identity. Of course, he will not become a real scientist, so there is no need to worry. Until danger appears, the girl asks not to activate his abilities. Our hero received his clothes only as a disguise. Soon another man approaches them and calls our hero his partner. This man introduced himself and extended his hand. His name was Yu Ryan. The guys shook hands, strengthening their acquaintance. Yu Ryan is one of their 5 best masters. The girl believes he will be useful because he has a lot of combat experience. The man smiles. He is pleased that they will work together because he heard how the guy defeated Commander Guak. After that, they prepare for the trip and enter the carriage. Suddenly, Jin Yan catches someone's gaze from the side. He recognizes again the same man he recently beat. The young man asks if his body is okay, and the other, seemingly a bit frightened, calls him sir and says everything is fine. It immediately became clear to the young man, this man is afraid of him. Finally, the preparations for the trip were completed. It was time to set off. They needed to cover a long road, so it was better to start right now. The carriage rolled steadily through the forest. Everything around was truly green. Jin Yang had not smelled the forest for a very long time. He had spent all that time only on the island. Strangely enough, the smell of the forest is very different from the smell of the sea. Someone is hiding in the forest bushes. And it seems our hero immediately senses this. After some time, the clouds begin to darken more and more. It looks like the rain will start very soon. Yang Haiyan says the downpour will begin in about an hour, so they need to find a place to take shelter. Yu Ryong says there is a temple not far from here, he can take them there. The girl likes this idea because she doesn't think the rain will end quickly. Today they will rest there, and tomorrow they will travel again. Yu Ryong thinks this place doesn't look deserted, so he wants to look around. While he goes on reconnaissance, he asks our hero and the girl to be cautious. Jin Yang calmly says the strangers left for them about 10 miles ago. Don Haiyan is confused, and I don't understand why the young man is telling this only now. It turns out the guy simply didn't want the enemy to know he had already been noticed. Now he is going to deal with them. The girl is in shock and still can't grasp what is happening here. Meanwhile, their carriage is already surrounded from all sides. Many men stood before them, all had already revealed their weapons. It immediately became clear, these people were truly hostile. Yu Ryong looked at them and realized, this was a large triad. The man was in furious rage because they dared to attack the association. The bearded arrogant man insists that he does not demand any justification from him. When these men got involved with the Chunhua organization, they began to commit real evil. The man calmly admits everything really got very strange. It turns out these scoundrels received orders to take Yan Haiyan and bring him to their master. The group that hunts women is worse than any bandits in the whole world. Hearing that expression directed at him, the man became wildly angry and even flared up with indignation. In a moment, the author of this phrase, our hero, steps out of the carriage. The bandits decided he was an ordinary scientist and were stunned with shock. How dare he speak to them so rudely? Don Ho Gan was furious and grabbed the boy by the collar to prove he was wrong. The next moment he swung at him, preparing to strike. Jin Yan stopped his hand with one movement of his own. However, it turns out that was not all. This scoundrel tried to pour his inner power into the young man. In such a case, it is enough to absorb it all with one's technique. For our hero, this turned out to be quite easy, and he immediately got to work. The bandit definitely did not expect such a turn of events. While the boy held onto his fist, the bandit's inner strength was completely given to the young man. When the man realized this, he sharply withdrew his hand and pushed the youth away. Don Ho froze in stupor. He did not understand how the scientist knew this. It became clear the main hero was trying to break the bandit's hand with his energy, but how could this even be possible? Sheraton looked at our hero in surprise. He himself did not expect everything to turn out this way. Jin Yang did not respond at all, he only looked distantly at his hand. None of the bandits, not even their leader, could comprehend that this had just happened. The leader wanted to end everything peacefully but quickly realized it would not work. In a second, he ordered to kill everyone except the girl. The warriors immediately took a defensive stance around the carriage. They could not allow these scoundrels to approach the young lady. In a matter of seconds, a real battle would begin. There would be a sea of blood. Finally, the swords crossed. The bandit leader also already drew his sword, preparing for the clash. As soon as Borodach felt the evil energy flowing from the main hero. Therefore, the man decides to deal with him first, confident that it will not be difficult. But Jin Yang does not even let him swing at him. With all his strength, he presses his hand into the face of the scoundrel. The young man launches the technique of heavenly fire, sparks a fiery volley. The youth decided not to hold back anymore and show all his strength. In a moment, everything around bursts into flames and he is embraced by bright fire. The bastard screams in pain. He definitely did not expect that in a second his body would be burning. The other bandits were shocked when they saw their commander fighting in pursuit because he was on fire. The bandits urgently need to suffocate their commander and they start throwing dirt at him. Jin Yang catches their recklessness and is already standing right behind their backs. The bandits do not have time to do anything as the boy is already hitting them in the face with all his might. The enemies continue to press and prepare to strike the young man. But he skillfully dodges and blocks each of their blows. After that, the youth unleashes his magic and a real explosion occurs, making the ground almost slip from under his feet. The bandits are completely shocked after that. They were all smashed. It was a devilish technique, fiery martial art. It seemed as if not a human, but a real monster stood before them. In a moment, Jin Yang strikes the enemy with a powerful blow to the face and drives him into the ground. The young man tells the bandits who are still alive to surrender now and flee. Because if they do not do this, they will soon regret it. All the bandits were in complete shock from what had just happened. Many of these scoundrels had already fallen in this fight, unable to continue it. Our hero was incredibly furious. The bandit hopes if he surrenders, our hero will pity him and not kill him. Jin Yang feels no joy at another's death, so there is no point in killing people who are already going to surrender. The main character is troubled by one thing: why did they want to kidnap the girl? The boy will not wait long. He asks for a quicker answer to his question. He emphasizes that their leader received serious injuries, and if he is not taken to a doctor, he may die. Then the man confesses it was Chunwa's request. If this bandit means exactly this organization, then most likely Mr. Tak asked them to do it. The bandit confirms the girl's words. Mr. Tak ordered to bring Yan Haiyan. And that is why they decided to carry it out in an extremely radical way. The bandits were ordered to definitely bring the girl, and they did exactly that. Meanwhile, Yu Ryong continues the fight with one of the bandits and at this moment knocks the weapon out of his hands. He asks the enemy to stop. Yu Ryong doubts that their lord would want a full-scale war. Moreover, even if the bandit continues to fight, he still has no chance. Although it is very hard to believe, they have a very capable fighter. Soon the bandits decide to retreat. They gather the wounded and take them to the doctor. Our hero set a person on fire with magic, although he could have refrained from doing so. At the moment when Jin Yang began to drain his internal energy, his thirst for killing sharply increased, and the young man did not even try to control it. If she continues to attack, the boy will definitely kill everyone. The boy begins to think that there is still something he does not know about. Very soon, a very heavy downpour will begin as they had guessed. Fortunately, our heroes managed to arrive at the temple in time to hide from the rain. Yang Haiyan sincerely thanks our hero for the rescue, because if not for him, they definitely would not have left there unharmed. Jin Yang does not require thanks because he did nothing special, yet he still wants to find out who Mr. Tak is. And the girl begins the story about this gentleman. The Manhwa organization is one of the 3 largest trading groups. The head of this organization is Tak Chunbo, and his second son, Tak In Haiyan, is the young master Tak she was talking about. The main character wants to find out why this boy was going to kidnap the girl. 10 months ago, a hawk flew in from Chunhua. Young Master Tak said he wanted to take Yeon Hyung with him. Last year, on the 60th birthday of grandmother and grandfather, he said he wanted to see the entire Jeju district, and Yeon Hyung accompanied him. Most likely, it was at that moment the boy noticed the girl. Even Yeon Hyung's father was categorically against this. No one would refuse such a profitable marriage, so Jin Yang could not understand why the girl's father refused. Perhaps the reason is that the sea dragons belong to the association. The young man was very curious. Did the girl want to marry that boy? If it were so easy to refuse, it would not cause so much pain. After some time, a person enters the room and says that Yeon Hyung has already arrived. This meant that Brother Tak would also come, and the girl could not help but be pleased. The man received the news that Inhyo is now also near teen. The boy also has to go there. He is very curious how much the girl has become beautiful during the time they haven't seen each other. The girl clearly saw that Yang Hyen lives in the heart of this boy. It was obvious. But the boy immediately began to deny it. He is only trying to grab her attention so that Ha's plan works. But for their plan to succeed, a lot of effort is needed. The parental home is also waiting for this. It is precisely because of this that Sister Ha will decide how to treat the boy, so she asks him not to disappoint her. The boy assures the lady that she does not need to worry. He will do everything to erase Yang Hyen from Mr. Tak's heart. But he also wants to erase young Mr. Tak from the young lady Yang Hyen's mind. This is exactly what Mr. Ha desires. Yu Ryong, Jin Yang, and Yang Hyen entered the establishment to eat a little and rest. It is very good that there were no attacks on the way to teen. Yu Ryong asks the young lady if she plans to climb Taishan today. Yang Hyen says it is better to rest here today and set off there tomorrow morning. Suddenly, a young man approaches their table, the one Lady Hyen hasn't seen for a very long time. Turns out it was Mr. Tak. The girl immediately recognized him, even though they hadn't seen each other for almost a year. Mr. Tak was also terribly glad, because a year is a whole 100 years. The young gentleman says that during this time his heart was full of worries and concerns. The main character also listened intently to Mr. Tak as soon as he approached their table. The young gentleman apologizes for the incident that happened with their squad. It happened due to a misunderstanding. His order was misunderstood by the subordinates. He justifies himself and says that he asked the subordinates to kindly escort the girl to him, but they missed that moment. But Yeon Hyen was not amused at all, because of this incident a person almost died. Fortunately, everyone is alive, so the gentleman told them to keep their mouths shut so they wouldn't even spread news about this incident. Also, Mr. Tak apologized to the sea dragons, so there are no problems. Jin Yan concludes that this young man is too confident. In a second, Mr. Tak addresses our hero. The triad has already told him about this scientist. Jin Yan says he has words for this boy. Our hero had never seen such people as Mr. Tak end well, so he advises him to be careful. The young Mr. Tak insists that this applies to everyone who practices martial arts. Lady Hyen silently watched their conversation. She interrupts Mr. Tak and states that they are not in the mood for talks now because they want to go and rest. On the way here, the young gentleman caused them so many problems that they collapsed from fatigue and want a rest. Mr. Tak understands everything and says that they should rest well. Tomorrow the boy will visit them again. But Yeon Hyen says that it is better for the boy not to come tomorrow either. In the morning, they are leaving for Taishan. The confident boy is not going to listen to her and insists again that they will see each other tomorrow. It seems the behavior slightly annoys Jin Yan. Next morning came, they were already about to leave, but Mr. Tak still got involved with them. The subordinate of Sister Ha peeked out of the house in a second. He kindly greeted them. The young man was glowing with joy when he saw the guests. In a second, he runs up to Yeon Hyen, immediately showers her with compliments and says that she is like a beautiful flower. They say Brother Tak has recently gotten along very well with Lady Yeonho. Mr. Tak is irritated by these words. He never got along with Lady Yeonho at all. The young man noticed his irritation and immediately tried to calm him down. The boy thinks that Mr. Tak finds it hard to say this right in front of Lady Hyen. Mr. Tak is furious because the boy is talking nonsense. He has received news from Chunhwa. He heard that next month Lady Yeonho and Mr. Tak will get married engaged. There were rumors that the two fell in love when they went on a joint trip, so the boy decided it was true. Mr. Tak denies everything and says he only met a girl during the trip, that's all. Although there are rumors about a wedding with Yeonho's family, it was by no means in his plans. Then the young man apologizes for his words. The boy just hopes the engagement won't be broken, because Brother Tak was chasing another woman while negotiations about marriage with Lady Gonsong were ongoing. The boy was no longer going to listen to this nonsense and snapped at Gun San, saying, "Watch your tongue." The young gentleman broke off the engagement with Miss Gonson and now wants to do the same with Miss Yeonho. In a second, the young gentleman struck Gun San hard in the face to make sure he shut up. Lady Hyen and Jin Yan silently watched the circus unfolding right before their eyes. Mr. Tak already clearly explained, such nonsense should not be uttered. Gun San wipes blood from his lip. Could it be that his brother is so easily forced to resort to fists? But it seems Gun-san is not against this at all. After all, they haven't fought for a very long time. Mr. Tak also flares up with energy, preparing for the battle for his pride and honor. A very ominous silence hung between the boys. It seemed even the air was trembling. Strange that the son of the head of the trade association had such a story. He is significantly stronger than the big triad. Perhaps he can even be compared to Guak Chan. Yan Hyan thinks they should be separated, but Jin Yan sees these two are not the kind you can negotiate with. Suddenly someone comes out into the yard because of the noise. The memorial service is not over yet. Sister Ha went out to see who was using the internal energy at the place of the rituals. The girl asked Gun-san to meet the guests, not to start fights here. She approaches the boy and asks for explanations, but he cannot find what to answer. Mr. Tak admits he made a mistake because for the first time in a long time he was going to compete with Brother Ha. He approaches the girl and apologizes. The girl was a little embarrassed when she found out that Brother Tak came here to see her. Although in reality it was not quite like that, he is still glad to see her. Lady Hyan greets Sister Ha. He put a lot of effort into organizing everything for the memorial. It was Sister Ha's duty, so there was nothing like that here. He asks them to follow Gun-san, and the girl will soon join them too. He has something that Yon Hyan needs to hear and tell about. Faratan asks if Jin Yan really does not need to go there with this girl. Nothing can be done. Yan Hyang said she needs to talk to Haju Ryan alone. But our hero worries about what is going on in these people's heads. Suddenly the main character notices some man sitting right in the wall and crafting something there. It seems he is a Taoist. Faratan asks what happened. He sees that Jin Yan's face has changed, but he asks not to pay attention. Suddenly this stranger just disappeared as if he was never there. The main character rushes to the place where he just saw the man, and there he is simply vanished without a trace. Jin Yan heard, in this world there are as many people with special abilities hidden as grains of sand. People do not know that no mediocre skill can fool the eyes of our hero. They look closely at the sand and realize something is written there, Chashin. It resembles an ancient language. The young man bursts with curiosity as soon as he sees this. Suddenly he notices some old grandfather passing by and calls him. Jin Yang really wanted to learn something from the grandfather. He asks if a skinny Taoist with very disheveled hair lives here alone. The old man immediately understands that it is about that madman. The main character does not understand why that man was called mad, but he wants to find out the reason. He says that the old man lost his mind already a whole 20 years ago. He is not here for any ceremony, he just walks around. Therefore, the old man tells the young man that it is not even worth paying attention to him. But Jin Yang asks where to find that madman. The grandfather does not understand at all why he needs this. But still, he was about to tell the young man about the place where this madman often appears. Night had already come. Jin Yang sat on the top of the mountain and looked at the moon, and it looked especially beautiful. The main character feels someone's presence and orders the stranger to come out, saying that he already knows everything about him. A moment later, movement is heard in the bushes. After that, from the dense forest bushes comes out the same old man whom he saw this morning. The main character says that it does not matter at all who he is. In that case, the old man asks what is most important to this young man. Jin Yang says that he wants to learn about Chashin. Next to this word on the sand was carved a half-erased ancient text. The grandfather still does not understand why such a young scientist needs these old writings. Jin Yang explains that he is simply interested in old writings and there is no reason for this. Then the grandfather wants to ask the young man a completely different question. The gray-haired man asks if the boy himself is not here. He seriously asks if there is still someone inside the young man. The main character tenses his shoulders at these words and asks what that means. The grandfather feels that a very strange energy emanates from our hero. And this energy is not human, completely different. It is fundamentally distinct. But this old man really means certain. Jin Yan will find it very difficult to answer his question. Jin Yan can only say one thing: what is inside him cannot harm anyone. Cannot even do anything against Jin Yan, let alone others. There are many mysterious things happening in the world, and the man is pleased to know that this boy is one of those mysteries. The main character sincerely thanks him if he really thinks so. The boy is very curious how this grandfather understood that another soul lives inside him. The grandfather does not answer this in any way, but still tells the boy to follow him. After that, they head deeper into the forest. After some time, they come out to a waterfall. This be exactly what the grandfather wanted to show him. The main character looks at the wall, which is covered with a bunch of different runes, but does not understand why the old man is showing this to him. This is one of the 18 writings that the grandfather found. he read all the books in the mentor's room without his permission. It was precisely thanks to him that he noticed the tiny secret of Jin Yang. But that was only a small part of what he managed to find out. There was no further progress. So he suggests to the young scientist to solve this issue together. To decipher the ancient writings, learn about Chashin, and find out how many people in the world still have a second soul. Jin Yang studied this a long time ago, so I don't know everything. Deciphering these writings will take a lot of time. Is there a person who can immediately understand these writings? More than 10 years have passed since this person was imprisoned in the imperial prison. It is unknown if they are still alive. Jin Yang wants to save this person, so he sets off north. And the old man says he also wants to go together with our hero. When they were preparing to leave, Jin Yang gave him another new outfit. The grandfather did not understand why to dress up like that. Could it be that the old man really intended to go around in those rags? However, the grandfather really sees nothing special in this, but Jin Yang says everything has its limits. Our hero asks whom the grandfather wanted to meet before they set off to the north. The old man says he really wants to meet his mentor before leaving. For 20 years, his mentor hid his anger, so before the trip he must meet him at least once. Jin Yang warns after 20 years the grandfather's resentment could even kill him, but the old man is not afraid of this at all. The grandfather wants to go to the mentor but asks the boy to stay here. In a few seconds, the old man opens the door to the room and greets his mentor. But already in a moment, harsh screams burst out in response. The mentor loudly scolds his student. The resentment still gnaws inside him. When the mentor recalls again all the mischief the student did, rage covers him again. After some time, Yan Hyan approaches our hero and asks what happened here. Jin Yang says that nothing is going on here and jokes. Supposedly, these are just lashes of love. This is all that has accumulated over 20 years, so it will take some time. Jin Yang notices that Yan Hyan looks sad and anxious after meeting Mrs. Ha, so he asks what happened. Turns out, Sister Ha said that she will also set off with them to the north. In fact, the girl is just worried about her father, who stayed in the association. But our hero said that she should worry about Sister Ha instead. Soon the old man was forcibly pushed out of this room. That was done by his mentor. Before leaving, the grandfather told the mentor that he would return, so he should not get sick. The mentor says if the student goes north, let him find his uncle who can feed him. Immediately after that, he loudly slams the door. Jin Yang thinks that the old man could have easily avoided this. The grandfather is sure this was the best way to release his mentor's anger. After all, sometimes you need to let off steam. Our hero is a little envious. There are people who are capable of that. The young lady addresses the main hero and asks who the old man next to him is. Grandfather decided to name himself. His name is Chong Guan. And he decided to rush north together with this young boy. After some time, they finally set off on the road. There was deep silence in the carriage. Grandfather seemed to have dozed off. It was obvious Gun-san was accompanying them on the road to the north. This was because he had to follow Haju Ryan. Jin Yan had no idea what this boy was looking for on this journey. Could it be that he was going to follow Lady Hyung here? In fact, it looked simply disgusting. Yet the man who was riding ahead of everyone gave the order to stop. Gun-san did not understand what had happened, so he asked the man about it. In front of them were many men sitting right on the ground. These people completely blocked their way. It was impossible to bypass them. From their clothing, it was possible to understand that these were mountain inhabitants of Chonmyeon. The boy could not understand why they were blocking their passage. It was unknown, but these people were definitely not their enemies. They generally had good relations with the people from this area. Other soldiers are gathering to move towards them and find out what is going on here. The leader of the Chonmyeon inhabitants told his comrades that two were approaching them. In a second, he ordered them to prepare. Immediately after that, they firmly grabbed their weapons. Suddenly, the main character also felt something bad. When the grandfather woke up, there was no one left in the carriage. The boy was gone too. Jin Yang rushed to the captain. The main character asked the captain to recall the soldiers because this might be a trap. The captain did not understand what our hero meant when he spoke about a trap. Un-san agrees and says that there is nothing wrong with caution, so indeed the soldiers should be called back. As soon as the captain says that these people are not their enemies, these two soldiers with weapons immediately attack those two. They quickly and mercilessly kill these people, striking with a sword directly in the chest. The captain was in shock from what had just happened. He could not understand why they did it. The captain was stunned by what had just happened. It did not occur to him that it was true. Subordinates asked the leader what his further plans were and whether they should attack. He ordered his subordinates to break through the guard and kill the girl who is now in the carriage. In a second, he shouts and gives the subordinates the order to attack. They all rush to the carriage, but on the road our hero stands in their way. But the main hero bravely takes on defending the carriage. He will not allow anyone to harm the girl. When he saw that they were running to the carriage, he immediately understood. Their target is Lady Hyun. In a second, Jin Yang called Sylphina, and she immediately started grumbling that she was summoned. The fairy activated her powers and unleashed a strong wind, directing it straight at the enemies. And the young man meanwhile dispersed the fire magic. They raised a real fire tornado. He unleashed all his power. Sylphina hoped that this was the end, and now she could leave and finally rest. From such a harsh attack, the enemies obviously almost died. The boy realized if you use basic magic, then the thirst for killing does not awaken in him unlike last time. Now the main hero finally clearly understood what the problem was. Therefore, Jin Yan asked Cheritan to be ready just in case to respond to his magical power. Meanwhile, the enemies did not stop their advance. They ran up to the captain of the sea dragons. The man was still in shock that the Jeonmyeon warriors dared to do this to them. He also rushed into the attack. Other enemies were already running at him, preparing to kill him. The captain bravely stood, preparing to take all their attacks. He, like a true master, quickly and lightning fast took their lives. And suddenly another enemy grew behind his back. He did not manage to notice. Fortunately, the captain managed to turn around in time and block the blow. If not for his reaction, he would already be dead. The blow was too strong. The man was sharply thrown back, although he managed to block it. Captain saw who attacked him. He recognized the enemy as Du Chu Moon. But the man did not even think of responding. In a moment, he jumped up and was preparing to strike. Captain wanted to find out the reason why these bastards attacked them. How could the mountain dwellers dare to do such a thing? Chu Moon is not going to answer. This is not the business of sea dragons at all. The battle continues. The hottest part begins. Captain delivers a heavy blow, but the enemy manages to dodge so he doesn't even hit him. Chu Moon is also preparing a swing to strike back. Captain does not have time to do anything with this blow. The enemy knocks the sword out of his hands. The enemy promises that they will leave immediately after dealing with the girl who is riding in their carriage. But after that, the bastard adds, they will only leave when they have killed absolutely everyone. Suddenly, an old madman appeared among the men. With one strike, he deflected the sword of this bastard and saved the captain. Grandpa, it was clear that they came to kill everyone. Chu Mun was definitely shocked. This old man managed to run so quickly and deflect such a strong attack. He was shocked that this stranger deflected his attack with a simple push of his foot. Because of such strength, the man's arm went numb. This meant the enemy standing before him now was very strong. That is why Chu Mun does not waste time thinking and decides, better to immediately take down this scoundrel. In a moment, the enemy delivers a very strong blow. Such a blow leaves a huge deep trench stretching several meters forward. Chu Mun thinks his enemy disappeared, but in vain. The old man was already hanging above him right overhead. But the enemy managed to block his strike in time. One more moment and he would no longer be among the living. Dongguan calmly landed on the ground. The old man's movements were lightning fast and flawless. He accurately struck blows at his enemy. The old man continued to block absolutely all attacks of this freak. Chu Mun is confident. Now he will be able to pierce this old man's chest. The old man has no intention of giving up. He will stand until the end. Dongguan continues to strike and dodge attacks. In a moment, the old man flies in with a kick, a strong blow right to the face. From this insanely strong blow, Chu Mun loses consciousness. Nothing else was expected from the madman. From such a strong blow, the man was literally driven into the ground. As soon as it ended, Chu Mun got up, but it was hard for him. His shoulder hurt badly. Only now did Chu Mun realize he will never defeat his enemy because he is too strong. Chu Mun fully admits, I will not be able to cause anything in this situation. Therefore, the man decided to retreat. In a moment, he disappears and the old man remains alone. Meanwhile, our hero does not stop. He takes down enemies one by one, pushing the last back with a strike. Jin Yang seems not to be tense at all in this clash. He wants to finish it as soon as possible. Suddenly, he notices another enemy is flying at him from the side, the same Chu Mun. Chu Mun thinks, if I couldn't defeat that old man, then at least now I will clash with this scoundrel. Jin Yang skillfully repelled the attack, grabbed the enemy by the arm and blocked the strike. The main hero looks impressed and asks who this is. He sees this man for the first time. Chu Mun is shocked by the strength of this young man. He held the man so tightly that he could not move his arm. Chu Mun shouts and orders to release him because he is from the Pekma fortress, but our hero doesn't care. When the enemies saw that their leader was defeated, they decided to retreat. It seems they definitely have no chance of victory. Gun San blocked their way. He threw his sword at them. They did not manage to do absolutely anything and were already surrounded by sea dragons. The captain ordered not to let anyone out, they will pay for attacking them. Suddenly, Lady Ha climbed out of the carriage. She was heading towards the criminals. The captain says that it is very dangerous here, so he asks the girl to return back to the carriage. The girl was not going to return back if Chumun himself came to them. This meant that they were brought directly from the Pekma fortress. They were carrying out a mission from the mountain dwellers of Mangam, who are enemies of their trade association. It seems they attacked to kill Lady Ha at the request of Mangam. Only now did our hero realize their target was not Lady Hyang. Lady Ha asks the captain to release these people. This greatly surprises the captain. The lady says that it is better for them to get out of here quickly. He orders them to take care of the wounded. Jin Yan is amazed. The lady is simply releasing those who just tried to kill her. The enemies want to retreat, but they have already suffered very heavy losses because of them. Lady Ha asks to send greetings to Lord of the Fortress Pekma. Although these bastards attacked them, the sea dragons generously spared them. The enemies are grateful for such mercy. Immediately after this, those who remained alive among the enemies scattered in all directions. Lady Ha orders to gather the bodies and heal the wounds of those who were injured. After that, they will set off on the road again. Judging by what the girl said earlier, the Fortress Pekma and Mangam will find themselves in a difficult situation. They will return alive only because they were forgiven and released by the person they tried to kill. If they do not want to be reproached for this further, they will have to forget about the trade association once and for all. Jin Yang could not understand what was on this girl's mind. Her thoughts are a complete mystery to him. Lady Hyan asks if Sister Ha is feeling well. Fortunately, everything went without any problems, so the girl is fine. Sestritsia Ha thought about Jin Yan. She could not help but notice, this boy is truly extremely unusual. He is capable of doing such amazing things. Yan Hyang notices how the girl has become thoughtful about something. The girl immediately apologizes and says that she just was a little lost in thought. Nothing serious happened. He orders them to wait in the carriage while they prepare for the trip. Yan Hyang noticed something strange in her sister's gaze. She recalls how she came across a dead man. A sword was sticking out of his chest and he himself was sitting in a puddle of his own blood. He remembered with what fear she looked at it. Yan Hyang is terribly afraid to even think about what Sestritsia Ha will do this time. The news of the defeat has already reached the leader. Instead of killing the girl, they only disgraced him. These bastards only disgrace the name of the Fortress Pekma. He orders them to go and find out where those people who beat Chumun so badly came from. Second before, another subordinate approaches the master. A shaved burly man tells the leader that he will personally take on this matter. The leader does not fully trust him because last time he made a lot of mistakes. Without much thought, the leader nods and orders the subordinate to go and find out everything. But the most important thing is not to disturb this association, because the time for that has not yet come. Shaved man bows and says that he will definitely accomplish it. Evening has already come. Gun San and Mr. Tak discuss the incredible abilities of Jin Yang. One cannot remain silent about this. But Mr. Tak does not want to admit how talented the boy is and says that it was just ordinary martial arts. Having said this, the boy walked away. If one can benefit from this power, then what difference does it make whether it is martial arts or not? The main character said that tomorrow morning they will already set out on the road. Yang Hyan thanked the young man for the protection. If it were not for Jin Yang, they definitely would not have gotten out alive. Our hero is curious about what the girl is going to do now. Yan Hyang, smiling, said that they have news from the chief. To establish relations with the Sea Dragon fleet, they want to connect the girl with the young Master Gong San. The father refused the marriage with Master Tak. It seems the reason was the problems he caused them. So first of all, they need to sort out this matter. The young man thinks that Lady Ha was involved. Yan Hyang thinks so too, but this is not a statement, only her assumption. It seems she cares about Master Taka. Probably all this is to captivate him for herself. Perhaps it is also about Yan Hyang's unusual eyes. The sister wants to assure that no one will take anything away. Jin Yan is curious about what will happen if the girl refuses. Support from the fleet will be stopped. Even if the sea dragons reach the brink of extinction, the association will not extend a helping hand. Dark times have come, but if Jin Yan is needed, he is ready to come to help. But Yan Hyan says that it is not necessary. She is just tired of everything and wanted to vent to someone. It seems it was too strange because Jin Yan, after all, is not connected to her in any way. Yan Hyan wants to ask the boy for one thing. If something happens to her or to the Sea Dragon fleet, she asks to take care of her father. The next day came. Jiyoung Guan asks the young man, did nothing happen last night? Finally, Jin Yan will return to his native home, but now he looks too depressed. Turns out the boy has a matter that he now must think over carefully. Of course, the main character desperately wants to help Lady Hyen. The alliance of Lady Cho and Ha Gun stand to keep her close. Perhaps Sister Ha will not rush. Of course not, she still has plenty of time. So first Jin Yan decides to talk to his father. Finally, they reach the right place. The boy is all tense and trembling with excitement. Jin Yang hesitated before opening these damn doors, something doubts in his chest. Finally, Jin Yang knocks on the door. Someone opens and answers. The boy hears the nanny's voice and immediately says that it is he who has come. Over the years, the woman has aged significantly. She did not understand who was standing behind the door. In a second, she opened the door but did not recognize at all the one who stood on the threshold. Our hero immediately introduced himself and named himself Jin Yang. The woman was in complete shock when she saw before her a young, healthy, and handsome gentleman. It's hard to believe that this is really so. The woman immediately begins to cry. She finds it hard to believe that this is not a dream. As soon as this ends, the main hero again bursts into his house, in which he has not been for many years. When he passes by his father's room, he is overwhelmed by a memory. Earlier, he sat here at the table and worked. Our hero was overwhelmed by nostalgia. He looked sadly and touched his father's things. In a second, he was again by the wall and saw the same picture behind which the passage to his father's storage opened. Baratan thinks that he will have to go down to decipher the old writings on the stone slab. The main character will definitely gather himself to do this after he saves his father. The young man explains memories overwhelmed him. He must save his father. The woman quietly and sadly tells the young master that his father disappeared without a trace. Jin Yang was shocked upon hearing this news. He still does not understand how his father could have disappeared. General Yuk appeared and told the woman that the prison where his father once sat had collapsed, and the man simply vanished. Our hero immediately realized that it was about General Yuk Du-gam. From time to time, he visited with news about the master, and it was this that gave the woman something to hold on to in life. Nanny wholeheartedly believed that Jin Hun would one day return to his native home. Nanny also says that Uncle John has already died. 2 years ago, on the way back from the imperial estate, bandits attacked him. These robbers were never caught. Uncle John's body was taken by some person. The main character was very angry and scared. He had no idea what was going on. Then the main character decided to set out in search of a person who knows something about his father. The man was glad to see the young man again. From Nanny Jin Yang he heard, the man became a lord after catching the criminal who stole gold from the temple. Although it was already late, the boy still congratulated him on this. Also, our hero is very grateful to the man for helping the nanny while he was away. He sees nothing wrong with this because he was just telling her where the prisoner was kept. He did all this out of guilt towards Jin Yang. But now something else is more important. The boy has returned from the island. He wants to learn more about his father. The young man came to find out what is happening in the case of his father's disappearance. The man was silent for a moment, then added that it was a very strange case. The cell where Scientist Ko was held was in a shared building, and it was impossible to open it from the inside. Jin Yan admits maybe the father was kidnapped. But the Lord does not ponder this. The Emperor himself personally monitored Ko. The inspection was very strict. No one would dare to kidnap the scientist. Moreover, the walls of the cell were broken by a strong explosion as if from the inside. Our hero thought that his father escaped from prison by himself. It looked exactly like that. It seems the Emperor was also surprised. They conducted a thorough investigation but could not find anything. The Lord himself searched for Jin Hun, but it yielded no results. Then the main character asks for permission to conduct an investigation at the estate. He hopes that his father left something there, and no one except Jin Yan will be able to recognize it. Does the young man really think that his father could have left something? The boy explains that his father did this even before he got to the estate. If so, then the Lord is sure Jin Yan definitely will not tell him even if he finds something. It was really so, and right now it will be extremely difficult for the young man to tell the Lord about it. It will be hard to convince Jin Yang otherwise, but the Lord will remember his words. If the main character wants to personally come to the estate, he will not succeed right now. It will be problematic. The Lord wants to find out, could it be that the boy has mastered martial arts? It so happened that the grandfather on Chongundan was a master, and the young man learned a lot from him. The Lord immediately realized that it was about the old Guyan. The island of Chongundan is always kept under very strict guard by the army, so the Lord knows almost nothing about this old man. You can't send a letter there through the Emperor's eyes, but he felt relieved as soon as he learned Jin Yang is under Guyan's supervision. It is enough what our hero has learned. Till the young man completes the investigation, the Lord will promote him. Permission for an investigation will not be given to an unknown person. This will hurt the pride of other officials responsible for the estate's security. But if the boy has an equal rank, then no one will say anything. The shaven one is meanwhile trying to find out where our heroes are, although it is incredibly difficult. Subordinate approaches him and reports, the target has already left this place. It is not exactly known where they went, but it is known, north of the estate. The shaven man is angry at the subordinate. He couldn't even find out which road they're taking. He forcefully threw him to the ground and ordered, by tomorrow he must get this information, otherwise he will not be alive. The frightened man swears that he will do everything in his power. The next day has come. The Lord leads the young man to the same place where everything happened. There was a huge hole in the wall. Stones flew out from the inside. Our hero does not know if his father had the strength to break such a large and thick wall. Inside, papers and some notes lay on the floor left by his father. Jin Yano is interested in whether it was difficult for his father here. Although it is a silly question, since it would be strange if he did not feel difficulties here. The Lord says that this was only at the very beginning. Scientist Ko did not like his work. It seemed that he was being tortured and mocked. Soon after that, something very strange happened. It seemed as if Jin Hun took control of the emperor. When the scientist asked the emperor for something, he immediately and without any objections fulfilled all his whims, so that no one else could meet with him and so that the chamber was clean. They say that at the scientist's request, every 3 to 4 days, hundreds of very rare and old books were brought to him. The main character wants to find out what kind of books these are. The Lord wonders, could that man have written something inside them? So it turns out they needed these things for something, which means he was doing something with them. The Lord says that when books were taken out from here, they were carefully checked to ensure there was nothing extra. The scientists needed to find out whether these valuable books were damaged or soiled. Therefore, they would have noticed immediately if new entries appeared in those books. The emperor could personally conduct an inspection, but there was one but. There are things that even 100 people would not be able to notice. The Lord asks the boy what he is going to do with it now. Today it is already too late to go for the books. Even if you set off for the library right now, it will be closed. Then the main character says that he wants to look around here more carefully. The Lord leaves him alone and says that he will go to make a report. He reminded his friend Jin Yan is waiting for him on the street, so he cannot be delayed. Finally, the young man was left alone. An investigation had already been conducted here, so most likely a lot was thrown away. And what remained has no value at all. Jin Yan carefully examines everything around but does not find any hiding place. Suddenly, the attention of our hero is caught by a tapestry hanging on the wall. A tree is painted on it. It was Sisakwa Habel, the trinity of poetry, calligraphy, and visual art. On his arm, the shadow of a bird, then another, and now there are 2. But as soon as you notice the third bird, a shadow appears, although in reality there are only 2. Who seeks always finds. Our hero could not understand what exactly these words meant. It seemed as if this text was written by a child deliberately to amuse. Nevertheless, this text sounds too familiar. The young man had heard it somewhere before. And he recalls his childhood and his father's words, learning never ends. Just like these old writings that his father reads. At first glance, it looks like bird tracks, as if a child had scratched the writing. But if you look from another angle, you can notice the soul of a person here. If you know one thing, then you know the other too. Jin Yan tried to understand what meaning was embedded here. For his own eyes, he sees runes and ciphers. Chang Guan was furious. He had been waiting for the boy all day and night had long since fallen. He suggests to him to drop by the tavern. Chang Guan asks if Jin Yan is going to go to bed today. The main character does not respond at all, just remains silent and is absorbed in thoughts about something personal. He remembers those runes. The boy was able to decipher them and understood. The word incontrovertibility is written there. Maybe these were some verbal games. Grandfather notices that Jin Yang is behaving strangely. Suddenly, a burly man appears before the grandfather, and Jin Yang stands across their path. He directly asks them if they are the bastards who beat Du Chumun so badly. Grandfather did not even immediately realize who it was. The stranger does not respond and immediately decides to attack. He makes a strong swing with his fist. The scoundrel is hitting the old man hard, but he had no idea the blow would be so strong. The old man flew back several meters. The stranger came to repay a debt for his friend, and now he wants to deal with Jin Yang. Fortunately, the boy reacted in time and blocked the punch with his hand, no matter how much it hurt him. The young man stood his ground but stepped back a few meters. A second later, the enemies approach from above. They attack from the top, preparing to finish off our hero. Jin Yang promptly jumps aside and dodges the blow. The main hero immediately assumed that these were people from the Pekma fortress. These two decided to take on our hero, while the commander would take the master for himself. Meanwhile, Jian Guan sat on the ground rubbing the back of his head. The blow caught him off guard and was too strong. But he almost immediately gets up. The man had no idea that the conversation would start with fists. In a second, the shaved man lunged at Jian Guan again to continue their fight. He swings and puts absolutely all his strength into this blow. Now the old man is ready for battle. An excited smile flashes on his face. And in a moment their fists meet in a strike. Two mighty energies press into each other. The blow was hard, but only the old man was pushed back. The shaved man still stood motionless in place. This scoundrel is disappointed. He never thought Chumun could defeat some old man. These words do not affect the old man at all. His enemy is too confident. The man charges with energy and prepares to see what this bastard is capable of. A second later, the man swings his hand, preparing to strike. Dongguan hits him right in the face with his fist. But immediately after that, the freak also hits him in the face. They exchange blows. But this was not the end yet. The shaved man suddenly hits him hard right in the chest. Pain was incredibly strong, but there was no time to relax. The fight was still ongoing. The old man seized the moment and hit him hard in the jaw. But the old man only thought he hit him, although in reality the man stopped his hand right in front of his face. And then the scoundrel grabbed him and threw him to the ground. The blow was so strong that the ground beneath the man began to crack. Dongguan would be screaming at the top of his lungs now, but he perfectly understood this was dangerous. After that, the shaved man delivers a strong blow right to his face, pressing him even deeper into the ground. The shaved man was disappointed that his opponent turned out to be so weak. Suddenly, the confident scoundrel was hit by his friend. From such force, the man and his comrade flew straight into the wall. Meanwhile, the main hero approached the old man and asked how he was feeling. Dongguan was fine. He was used to frequent beatings thanks to his mentor. The shaved man almost immediately got up and was now ready to move on to battle with our hero. Jin Yan also did not wait and immediately rushed at this bastard, delivering a blow, but that strike could not break through. It was blocked. Although the scoundrel blocked the blow, his hand still hurt badly from it. The young man thinks that this man is no different at all from those he just defeated. Then the young man begins to unleash a multitude of blows all over his body. The loser does not manage to block them. They are too lightning fast and powerful. Jin Yang does not even think about stopping. He delivers his final blow, and the enemy flies straight into the building behind. Jin Yang, without looking away, waits and watches where the man landed. Everything around was shattered, and blood was flowing from the man's head. But he did not intend to give up immediately. He rushed at the boy again. A second later, an incredibly strong explosion sounded. As soon as they separated after this blow, their enemy disappeared somewhere. It seems that the scoundrel realized he had no chance of victory and fled. But he did not flee alone. He also took those guys with him. It's a pity that the bastard took his comrades' information could have been extracted from them. They were from the Pekma fortress. Obviously, these bastards were hunting for the association. If he got angry at them because of the situation that happened recently, they need to hurry. Some time passed. The library staff were arranging and sorting the books. Our hero and his grandfather decided to visit this library. There were a lot of books gathered here truly worthy of the imperial estate. At the table sat a library worker who was carefully noting something down in the documents. Jin Yang says he came by the Lord's order. He needs to clarify a few things. The worker had already received a message about this guest since morning and is ready to listen to his questions. Jin Yang greedily looked at the books that were taken from his father. The man asks the guests to wait a little while he gets ready and takes the books together with other scholars. Some time passed and they managed to bring only a third of all the ancient writings. He said that as soon as the young man finishes with this, they will bring him the remaining books. Dongguan understood it would be extremely difficult to read everything here. But unfortunately, they could not cope with it, so they had to act faster. Several hours had already passed. Our heroes continued to leaf through these books and study them. Suddenly, Cheritan and Jin Yan noticed something strange in the book. The main character sighed heavily. It seemed that nothing was working out for him again. Grandfather asked, did the boy really find nothing? The boy objected and stated that he had still found something. There was nothing in the very content of the ancient books that the father could have hidden. On the contrary, he hid his message by resorting to the order of the book titles, which he often used. If the young man understood everything correctly, then the father most likely expected that the son would learn about this as soon as he returned to the estate. Then he recalls the poem in the father's chamber and the hieroglyphs that were there. One of them means sky and the other earth. If you combine them, you can find another, that is, your body. This means that Jin Hun mastered the technique of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth and controlling the soul even at a higher level than his son. If the father dared to study the technique of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth, controlling the soul, then with his efforts he would definitely have learned it deeper than Jin Yan. But if the father still managed to learn it and escaped from the estate, then why didn't he return home to at least see the nanny once? In such a scenario, Jin Hun definitely would not have disappeared, abandoning the nanny, so this option is ruled out. The emperor probably does not suspect that Jin Yan is in the estate. It's strange that they still do not interfere with them. Even if General Yuck gave him special rights, they are still useless before the ruler. But in such a case, our hero does not understand why the emperor does not pay attention to him. After some time, they returned again to the chamber where his father was kept. The lord frowns in surprise. Could there still be something to see in the prisoner's room? Jin Yan found out something in the library, so he wants to verify it once more to understand whether he was mistaken or not. Suddenly, the main character breaks sharply, noticing something strange and shocking. They see there is not a single scrap left in the room. Everything has been completely taken out and cleaned up. It was necessary to urgently report this to the Minister of War. Later, everyone gathered around the table to discuss it. The gray-haired man immediately realized this boy is the son of the scientist about whom General Yuck often spoke. He asks if they have any assumptions about who erased all the evidence from the camera. Most likely, it was the work of Van Hyo, the leader of the spy squad. The spy squad is the intelligence core of the estate, standing on par with the Golden Guard. Their task is to prevent corruption. But in the prisoner's room, the investigation was conducted by their guard, so it was not within the spy squad's competence. Lately, there has been too much strange behavior in the intelligence corps. The man called them here because he had something to personally say to our hero. Before that, he wants to appoint the young man to a managerial position. If Jin Yan has such a position, no one will interfere with him. The emperor himself allowed this, so there should be no problems. Jin Yon was interested in how many ministers had heard about him from General Yuck. He knows that the father of our hero was in prison, and the boy was sent to an island. In such a case, the young man has a question. How can the emperor leave the boy unattended in the mansion, and why then give him a managerial position at all? It turns out that now the crown prince is acting as emperor, and he is fully responsible for this situation. Then Jin Yon is interested in where the former emperor is now. In fact, they definitely do not know this, but if relying on their investigations, it seems he went to Jianghu. The main hero doubts that this is real, yet the minister assures him otherwise. No one knows how he managed to fool the imperial family, why no one has been able to find him so far, and whether he is even alive. There is information that one clan made contact with the emperor, but this is not yet confirmed. The minister means the clan of heavenly blood. Almost nothing is known about them, but they were interested in the golden plates and stone tablets that the emperor tried to decipher. The emperor wanted to decipher these ancient writings, and this was exactly what Jin Hong was engaged in. Shadow Clan also became interested in this. So it was precisely because of this that the clan from Jianghu grew closer to the government to unravel the mystery of the golden plates and stone tablets. There was another reason why he dared to give Jin Yang such a high position. He wants the boy to go to Jianghu and find out what the intelligence corps is planning. That is why he gave him this position. Minister ordered to monitor the intelligence corps. At the cost of one guard's life, they extracted information from the enemy. They are definitely hiding something, sending masters under the guise of observing Jianghu. They are afraid that the secret will be revealed, as if trying to bury it. The minister cannot leave everything as it is. Chaos may begin in the ruling dynasty. Moreover, the minister says that this matter is connected with Jin Yang. They are afraid of what the main character's father was involved in. After this, they are already preparing to go their separate ways. Before leaving, Jian Guan asks if they had ever met the minister somewhere before because he looks too familiar. The man was furious that the old man did not even recognize him. In fact, he thought he is pretending. Jian Guan freezes in shock when he realizes that they really know each other. This fool did not even recognize his own relative. Now the grandfather finally understands where he had heard this name before. The minister orders everyone to leave except the old man. They are to have a private conversation. Then the main character bows and sets off on his errands. They say goodbye and Jin Yang leaves the grandfather alone. After that, the door closes, leaving the two of them alone. The lord could not believe it. Jin Yang's acquaintance turned out to be a relative of the war minister. The main character could not even imagine that his grandfather held such a high position. Before they left, the minister handed our hero some documents. This was a letter that needed to be given to one person. The main character asks exactly to whom he should deliver this letter. This letter was supposed to be received by the minister's old friend. They had not seen each other for 20 years, but he is still alive and well. There are very few smart people like his friend in this world. If Jin Yang finds him and delivers the letter, he will receive help from him. His friend's name is Sanu Shin Guan, but in Jianghu people call him a recluse. The minister heard that a year ago he lived on Mount Muden and most likely still remains there. Jin Yang had already heard about recluses, but is not sure he can help him. Jin Guan will have no choice but to help the young man, and the minister swears that this will happen. Soon they set off on the road. It was already deep night all around. Before our hero stretched a long road, hidden behind bright green trees and bushes. Baratan suggested to the boy to rest because tomorrow a very long journey awaited them. But Jin Yang admitted that he felt terribly uncomfortable just doing nothing like that. The main character recalls the day when they rushed away from the imperial estate. Dun-san approached the boy. He had been searching for our hero for a long time. The boy asks why was he searching for him. Dun-san says that he went through this because of an important conversation that awaited him before our hero appeared. Dun-san came to him secretly. The sister knows nothing about this. Jin Yon begins to be interested. What is this matter if the boy came here in secret? Dun-san asks the young man if he has heard anything about the Heavenly Blood clan from Jianghu. The main character does not respond. He only remains silent in reply. After a second, the young man says that he has heard nothing about it. In that case, the boy immediately got down to business. His brother and sister Ha Gun Sok and Ha Ju Ryan secretly decided to make a deal with the Heavenly Blood clan. They are going to invest an absurd amount of money in a phantom plan that even Jianghu does not know about. If something goes wrong, it will not only show how much influence the association has, but also spoil the photo of the Heavenly Dragons. Dun-san, I don't know what kind of organization this is, but if these two are interested in it, this fact cannot be ignored. Jin Yang could not understand why this guy was talking about it specifically with him. The young man just shrugged and said there was no special reason. He was simply thinking that it would be nice to befriend our hero. Jin Yang could not stop thinking about what the people from the association are trying to achieve. It seems no one knows what is going on in their heads. Suddenly, a killer from the Pekma fortress appears before our hero. This man did not even try to hide his presence. The boy is curious. What is he planning? The shaved man sharply replies that he is not one of those who need to hide. This bastard intends to defeat our hero and take him away. The man has already violated the order just to watch the boy. After the overseer was discovered, the result can only be one: a face-to-face encounter. And only one thing remains to catch the main hero. Jin Yang is not serious about this battle. Last time he almost defeated him. The shaved man says that now everything will be different and attacks. In a moment he rushed lightning fast towards the boy. He instantly found himself right in front of Jin Yang's face, preparing to strike. Immediately after that, a loud explosion sounded. Of course, the young man dodged and was already ready to strike again. He hit the enemy, but the latter instantly intercepted the attack, blocking his strike with his hand. The scoundrel does not hesitate, takes advantage of the moment, and hits Jin Yang in the stomach. From such a blow, the young man is thrown several meters back. There was no time to rest. The bastard immediately lunges at him. The main hero skillfully dodges his strikes, and yes, he does it as if he is dancing. The enemy does not intend to surrender. He unleashes a series of blows on the boy. In a moment, he grabs him by the collar and lifts him off the ground. He did this to immediately throw him into a tree after the blow. The trunk breaks from such force. Our hero lies on the ground and does not move. It seems he didn't even try to resist. Suddenly, I feel something strange inside the enemy. Within a second, dark chains begin to grow from his body. They grab onto the trees and make it so the freak cannot move. Turns out this was Jin Yang's plan. After that, the boy flies in with a powerful attack and the enemy doesn't even manage to defend himself. Jin Yang approaches him and calmly says he wants to ask a few questions. But the freak insists this is not the end. He will not give up so easily. Then Jin Yang steps on his chest, making it harder to breathe. The main character no longer intends to pity this scoundrel. He attacked him for the second time. Therefore, if possible, he asks this bastard to answer as honestly as possible. Don Guan could not figure out what exactly happened at dawn. Grandfather was a bit tense. Could it be that they really had to follow this boy? Jin Yang said that the bastard would do it, lead them all the way to Pekma Fortress. Jin Yang said that they had a sincere talk and the scoundrel had already changed his mind and looked at everything differently. The shaved man does not react at all. He only clenches his teeth hard to restrain his anger. Suddenly, he notices something to the side. It looks like there was a fight here just now. Grandfather says that about an hour has passed since these people died. Their bodies are too clean for those who fought. The shaved man carefully examines their swords and concludes that most likely they are from Penga Fortress. The man did not know them personally, but he made such a conclusion from their swords. It was a Hongyuan sword, the same sword a symbol of Penga. Judging by the clean blade, they were attacked by surprise, so they didn't even manage to draw their swords. But if these are Peng's warriors, then they are strong people and they couldn't be defeated so easily until they struck back. If you cross the mountain ridges, you can come across the successors of the path of liberation. You need to tell them about this so they can take care of the bodies of these people. Suddenly, the main character felt something very strange. He sharply looked around. He felt something very strange, and a troubling feeling flared up inside his chest. Our hero told his comrades that someone was watching them. The shaved man thought it was a criminal who was watching from afar, but Jin Yang didn't feel any malice from him. First, the boy says that they need to leave here as soon as possible. As soon as they left, a stranger dressed all in black came out onto the clearing. The stranger seemed to be looking for the one who killed Peng's warriors, but he was too late. The man insists in his mind, a plan must be made. He orders the voice inside himself to go and report this to their lord. And the stranger decides to follow Yam for now. The man froze with surprise. The boy had just noticed him from such a great distance. The stranger begins to guess that it would be good to involve the main character in this matter. Meanwhile, the man was boiling with anger. They dared to ignore them and killed members of Peng. This news was told to him by Jin Yang. He came across a broken cart while traveling from north to south and said that no one was left alive. The heirs of the Path of Liberation called Jin Yang a government official. But the people in civilian clothes did not want to reveal their identities, and the heirs could not find out more information. The man said sadly that they still could not find out anything about the object. For now, it is impossible to say what the likelihood is that the people who told about this found the bodies. The man wants to go and check it personally. Only the fourth and fifth will go with him, the others will wait for their orders. The subordinate tells the chief that there is no need to act personally. His brother and nephew died, and he also lost his children and even the object. Ryan's life is at stake, so he must act alone. Suddenly, his uncle appears, the same man for whom this boy was a son. Therefore, the gray-haired man says that he must go. It is important not to forget, the head has the duty to protect the family. Maybe this is his last campaign before death, that's why the grandfather insists so persistently on going there. The head allows it but asks to take people with him. Meanwhile, our heroes are still making their way through their affairs. This stranger continues to watch them. He sits on a branch and does not take his eyes off. Suddenly he notices one boy is missing. Jin Yang simply disappeared. Could it be that the man was not watching him carefully? In a second, our hero was already behind the stranger. He felt him again. The stranger was shocked as soon as he was found. At what moment did the boy get behind his back? Jin Yang does not intend to answer. He immediately grabs him by the throat and pushes him off the branch. They fall from the branch right onto the backs of Jiang Guan and that scoundrel. Jiang Guan looked around fearfully to see what had happened. As the stranger could not even guess he was exposed. Jin Yang senses well the signs of a person's presence. He asks why this stranger is following them. The man does not intend to lie and asks if Jin Yang will do him a favor. He says that the killer of the Peng warriors whom they recently found is Yoma, the third exorcist of Hylial. The main character was sure they disappeared somewhere about 20 years ago. The stranger knows, for some reason Jin Yang is looking for the clan of Heavenly Blood. The exorcists of Hylial are people, the clan of Heavenly Blood. 3 exorcists who were hiding suddenly appeared at the same time. The stranger keeps Yoma in sight, and our hero chases the clan of Heavenly Blood. So the stranger asks again if Jin Yang wants to complete one of his tasks. Before that, our hero wanted to find out the name of this stranger. This man introduces himself and says his name is Wijahan. Jin Yang says he needs to look into one place. It won't take much time, so he asked to wait. The magician was ready to wait as long as he wanted. Meanwhile, evening came, and the grandfather gathered the soldiers to set off on this campaign. The soldier says that they found that person. 2 hours ago, he was walking together with Commander Pekma. The grandfather pondered what this could mean. They are being sent to the Pekma fortress. So they had to hurry. Night fell. Our heroes entered a tavern to have a snack and rest. Friends in Jianghu call him the Sword of the Black Abyss. Jin Yang and Jiang Guan had never heard of this. The magician felt a bit uncomfortable about this, and he felt strange afterward. Could it really be the same Sword of the Black Abyss with 8 stars? After some time, the grandfather entered the room together with other soldiers. Our heroes immediately noticed the guests who had just entered. It seems they really found those they were looking for. The main character recognized this man. It seemed to be Master Pen Gi-han from the Pen family. For Vijayan, it was amazing that the man decided to come here personally. Master Pen addressed this stranger, who he was since Pen did not recognize him. The man introduced himself, Vijayan, Sword of the Black Abyss. Grandfather had heard that the Masters of the 8 Stars were in no way inferior to people from major factions in their skills. The man explains that he came here because he has one matter, and asks why the master came here personally. Master Pen had business with this person, that is why he was looking for him. Grandfather already knew the name of our hero Jin Yang. At first he wants to express words of gratitude to him. Master Pen is grateful. The boy brought news about his family, and it was thanks to this that they began the investigation. Now they are getting down to business. These people came for information. Grandfather asks the boy if he saw the culprit of what happened, or at least any traces. Unfortunately, the main character saw nothing. The 3 of them carefully examined everything but found nothing. Grandfather heard the news. Jin Yang is a government official. This question was a complete surprise to him. Our hero asks what Master Peng would like to find out. The master had a bunch of questions: why the official is going to Pekma Fortress, what his connections with Vijayan are, and whether he really told him the truth. The main character says that it will be difficult to answer such questions. Suddenly Master Peng draws a sword from its sheath. Jin Yang tenses and asks what this means. The atmosphere in the room immediately changes. Master Peng says this is the best way for an honest conversation. Jin Yang sternly warns, this will not end so easily. Vijayan still does not know Jin Yang's level of mastery, but warns, this grandfather is a master of 10,000. But this was a chance to find out how strong the Jianghu masters are. Then he will be able to test his own strength. A moment later, Master Peng lunges at the young man, swinging the sword. The main character effortlessly stops the sword strike with his fist. From such force, steam even rose from our hero's fist. But this was only the beginning. Within a second, they rushed into battle again, hitting one another, blocking strikes and dodging. Jin Yang behaved very composed and attentive, watching every move of the opponent as if calculated. The main hero parried and blocked all the master's strikes with bare hands. Master Pen was wildly surprised. The boy does this without any weapon. Therefore, the grandfather does not intend to give up and unleashes all his strength for the next strike. This strike was incredibly strong. It seemed one more moment and it would demolish this tavern. The main hero skillfully dodges the strike at the last second. After that, Master Pen again abruptly attacks him with the sword. 2 mighty forces press against each other. It is impossible to understand who will seize victory. The grandfather sees for the first time how our hero fights so diligently, and again assures that he has unparalleled abilities. It becomes clear the young man is truly an incredible person. He managed to resist the master. Sheraton warned the boy, be careful. Through your opponent's sword flows an incredibly powerful stream of mana. One mistake and you are dead. The battle continues. As soon as he utters these words, the main character tightens his concentration even more. The grandfather is not going to retreat, on the contrary, he only shortens the distance to our hero. In a moment, he delivers another blow. A bright attack like lightning swiftly flies toward our hero. Jin Yang withstood such a strong attack and was able to absorb it. The grandfather tells the young man, be ready if you intend to continue the fight. The boy is full of energy. An incredibly strong fiery energy bursts out of him. In a second, they throw themselves at each other again. Excitement now burns in their blood. As if an explosion is about to happen, the energy of fire and the energy of lightning collide with each other. In a second, a strong explosion occurs. Dust covers everyone. It seems the room could not withstand that force and it was destroyed. The dust slowly settles. Jin Yang admitted this was truly the skill of someone closest to the masters of 10,000. Master Pen approached our hero and praised his strength. It was incredible. Also, the grandfather was surprised. The young man stood on all the feet that could be placed, even despite direct attacks. The old man asks what exactly the young man needs to do for him to finally answer his question. If the master promises that no one will find out about their conversation and that he will not act independently, then Jin Yang is ready to give him an answer. These were minimal conditions. The story turned out not very pleasant, so the boy does not want everyone to know about it. At the top of the stairs stood some man. From below, our hero looked at him and his new friends. The subordinate reported to the chief that they would handle the guests, but the man forbade it. He ordered the subordinates to prepare and meet the unexpected guests. Master Peng and the chief greeted each other. They had not seen each other for a very long time. Their last meeting was when the man quarreled with Hyen Gon-hu. The chief will never forget how the master helped him in those times. It was the first and last time he asked the master for help. Then the man turns to our hero. He is sure that he came with a matter specifically to the boy. Chief immediately realized, this is the young man from the Golden Guard. Jin Yang would like to see the lord of the fortress because of the incident with betrayal that happened in the estate. He knows that the lord's fortress has a bunch of connections with groups of dark warriors scattered all over the world. The masters of the spy squad are now acting secretly. The boy had information that they are related to the Jianghu warrior. Also, the main character would like to find out exactly whom they see and with whom they are connected. The man does not believe that they are capable of helping him with this. Why would they fulfill a request that gives them no benefit? Jin Yang reminds they attacked them twice and tried to cause a lot of trouble for the association. The affairs of the association are not within their competence, so he suggests postponing everything. Our hero tries to forget the incident when he was attacked. The leader asks what will happen if they refuse this proposal. The boy does not really want to shake hands with such people because it is their fortress that has a bunch of connections with criminals, but he has no choice. The young man warns if they cannot resolve this through dialogue, he will be forced to resort to force. Master Pen warns, in case the boy starts fighting, he will cause considerable damage. The grandfather says that it is better for them to seize this offer. If even the grandfather says this, then probably Jin Yang really has excellent skills in martial arts. The man thought for a moment and nevertheless decided to accept his offer. Also, Jin Yang asks to investigate the death of Jiang San-hyun, a former advisor of the estate. He was killed 3 years ago on the main street of Beijing. The chief believes if this is a murder case in Beijing, then the Golden Guard should know more about it. In the investigation, the Golden Guard and the spy squad recorded he died after being beaten by drunks, but Jin Yang does not believe this. The main character believes that someone deliberately concealed the truth. After finishing the conversation, they went out onto the street. After some time, the messenger Nakanjayo arrives and greets them. He has overcome a difficult path. Yoma and 3 other exorcists crossed T1, and now they are approaching Mount Cheonmson. Wijihin could not understand why the exorcists and Yoma gathered in one place. It seems to concern a man named Yu from the Ten Swords sect. Yu Tijiang from the Ten Swords sect was currently at Cheonmson. Also, the messenger added that there were about 5 or 7 warriors on the side of the mountain. They were tailing them. Wijihin says that they must also immediately send forces toward the mountain. He orders to send a letter to the unit and find out what the situation is there. It seems our heroes need to hurry. It became known that Jian Yixian is moving secretly. The shaved man does not understand at all why they decided to act secretly. The gray-haired man said that they are hunting the exorcist Heilhial. The man himself does not guess what is happening so far away. Perhaps they are chasing the exorcist's Heilhial for the sake of justice. But they are not going to just watch this. Of course, they will roam the whole world to catch up with the exorcists. They intend to control the global situation, not just observe. The man's plan is this: while they chase the exorcists, they themselves are also chasing them. The exorcists Heilhial are no longer what they used to be. They have become much stronger and no longer act independently. Someone is definitely behind them. The man doubts, will there be a group that can handle them? Then the old man begins to tell about the clan of Heavenly Blood. They are not yet widely known in Jianghu, but it is said that they possess super powerful strength. Though their plan is to follow our heroes and collect the lost fruits. Does he really mean that they will take the glory for themselves when they get rid of the exorcists of Heilhial? If they also benefit thanks to the position of Jian Yi, it will be even better. They will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Everyone agrees with this plan. He intends to send those he wants to test on this mission. If these people are kept inside, they definitely won't be able to see their limits. This will be a great opportunity to test them in real combat. Moreover, support will follow, so there will be no need to worry about this situation. First, they decided to send 1 squad for this. They themselves will head to Shanxi in the meantime. Meanwhile, our heroes have already reached the foot of the mountain, but they are late. There were too many corpses of warriors lying here. Beijikin immediately guessed that it was all the work of Yoma. Suddenly, the main character felt something very strange. In a second, Jin Yan summoned Sylphina and asked the fairy to find people ahead in the mountains. And he asks Cheritan to check if there is energy here that the boy does not feel. Unfortunately, Master Pen says that the one who could lead them into the mountains has died. And the main character says he will go forward and scout everything. Meanwhile, somewhere in the forest, a real battle was raging. This battle was incredibly brutal. No one was spared. Severed limbs lay everywhere. Suddenly, a bright green beam of energy struck the man. This beam flew straight into the man's face, did not expect that at all. But he managed to deflect that thing with his sword just in time. So he sends this beam back. It turns out it was Sylphina's attack, but he blocked it. Jin Yan praises her and suggests naming this technique Myansi. The man was in shock. Someone can release such a huge amount of energy at such a great distance. But there was no time to get distracted. Vijayan seized the moment and began attacking his enemy. Master Pen also took part in this struggle and began attacking their enemy, who was now exposed. Strong energetic flash lightning occurred. Grandfather struck the enemy. Scoundrel was stunned. He was struck by lightning. Master Pen does not give up and again rushes to attack the freak, striking him with a lightning blow. The enemy withstands the attack and this greatly surprises the gray-haired man. Of course, the man put in a lot of effort for this but still managed to stand firm. It seems these were not just rumors that the exorcists of Hylial are no longer the same as before. In a second, the red-haired man lunged at Master Pen again to continue their fierce struggle. Grandpa, of course, accepts this attack and blocks it. Their strength grew to the point that they killed the people of Jian Yi Xian and his men from Peng. Now Master Peng is going to check if this bastard has the courage to escape with the item. It seems his lightning-fast attack is gradually breaking the enemy's sword. Seeing this again, Jin Yang was finally convinced of how strong Master Peng's energy is. If this person is close in strength to the masters of 10,000, then the boy is scared to even imagine how powerful the true masters of 10,000 are. They needed to deal with these people faster to move on. Elder Yu himself is facing most of the Yoma group, so they need to help him. The main character does not understand whether the aura that constantly attracted his attention belonged to these two men. Our hero says he will go into battle first. Master Peng says the young man should go there alone for now. The red-haired man was already badly beaten and exhausted. The old man tells our hero to go and promises that he will soon follow him. Jiang Guan calms the boy and assures him that the old man will be fine, so he calls him to go together with him. Meanwhile, a battle was also raging among the rocks. A man was fighting the enemies alone. His movements were confident, sharp, and strong. The enemies were not afraid of him at all and still pressed forward. If this had happened earlier, even everyone present here would not have been his opponents. But now, Grandpa, it is already difficult to handle even 5 opponents. Because of this, he decided that he was disgracing the name of the sect of the 10 Swordsmen. Suddenly, some man bursts into their fight. He exudes negative, strong energy. But fortunately, the man managed to block such a strong blow, although it was incredibly difficult. This scoundrel threatens and says that today he will take T-Chan's head with him. Yoma still cannot catch the man alone. If he has become a little stronger, that is no reason to open your mouth. Grandpa pushes his opponent away and tears him back several meters. Even if he is destined to die today, he intends to take all these bastards with him. He focuses and strains, trying to gather all his energy. In a second, he used the technique, piercing him with the blade. Bright lightning beam pierces the enemy. They had no chance now. The grandfather uses the technique of the heavenly strike. Thanks to this, the gray-haired man quickly dealt with several enemies at once. Yi-chan was terribly tired and breathing heavily while dust swirled around. But it was not the end. The treacherous enemy lurked, waiting for him to weaken to sneak up and strike. Fortunately, the master managed to dodge. The fist did not hit his face. This bastard struck him with the other hand. The grandfather flew back, but the enemies were already waiting. They surrounded him from both sides. Yi-chan perfectly understood. Things were bad. Just then, a bright green beam of energy pierced all the enemies. It was Sylphina, the wind fairy. At first, the enemies thought it was just the wind, but later it became clear it was something entirely different. Strong wind rose, nearly knocking the scoundrels off their feet. The men were extremely confused. They couldn't understand where it had come from. The fairy was a little upset that her technique didn't hit those degenerates, but she didn't give up and decided to try again. Jin Yang introduced himself to the master and said that the commander Wijihan had sent him here. The main hero ordered his grandfather to rest, and they left this enemy against them. They stood on opposite sides of this large puddle. Yam was very surprised. He couldn't completely dodge the blow, but fortunately the internal injuries turned out to be minor. The enemy also noticed that old master was already quite tired. There was no time to be distracted. The main hero immediately rushed at the enemy. This scoundrel was in a furious rage. Now all his plans had collapsed and fallen apart. And other enemies joined in to help their leader. The old man took it upon himself. Zhang Guan kicked him right in the stomach. The scoundrel clearly did not expect that. The old man charged himself with strength and energy and was already ready to have fun with this freak. The unfortunate man did not have time to block or even dodge the blows. the man did not even understand where these attacks were coming from. Delphina noticed ordinary people who have not made a contract with her cannot see her. When a fairy receives magical powers from her master, she definitely does not get tired. You need to warm up your whole body well. Today she intends to try hard and use the magic of our hero. Delphina unexpectedly put too much internal energy into the attack, but now it will be difficult for him to maintain his technique. This surprised him greatly because usually the fairy does not like to work and constantly complains. You should be glad for such guys that the opponent is already tired. He received an internal injury in a fight with the master. In this case, Jin Yan intends to finish him off before he recovers. In a second, a real fight breaks out. No place stands in the way when the arrow hits a full strike, but even if the man dodges, he still feels the force of the blow. It feels as if you are not twisted inside from the blows. The man had never seen such attacks before. If he had enough inner strength, he definitely would not have suffered like that. Scoundrel cannot stay here long until he finishes with T-chan. Of course, he feels sorry for the fallen comrades, but they can be gathered again. Scoundrel must fend off our hero and immediately flee from here. But it was incredibly difficult. He couldn't even dodge his strike, not even that worked. Not a minute could be wasted. As soon as Grandpa recovers, he will immediately enter the fight. So it was necessary to quickly get rid of this guy, and for this, he decided to use the phantom technique of the Green River. In an instant, everything around became dark green. But for the main character, it was not a problem at all. He simply passed through his technique. And immediately after that, he struck him with a strong blow to the chest. This blow took the breath away, but Jin Yang was only just beginning. The young man gathers all his energy to deliver a blow right to his head in an instant. From such a blow, the bastard flies straight into the rock that stood behind. The boy admits his opponent is extraordinarily strong. Suddenly, Jin Yang sinks to his knees as if he lost all his strength in a moment. The youth could not understand how his inner strength faded so sharply. But in a moment he realized the fairy was to blame who was drawing out his inner energy. It seems the girl got so carried away that she forgot what normal is. Karatan ordered the boy to be more careful, and at that very moment the enemy launched an attack. His dark energy hit the shoulder and wounded him. Yoma's injuries were too severe. In this state, he won't be able to run far. He will definitely be caught. The scoundrel doesn't care. He grabs the young man by the neck. With all his might, the bastard presses Jin Yang to the ground, cutting off his breathing. The enemy admits that he has never seen such abilities and techniques in a boy before. The boy's internal injuries look very serious, so if the enemy pours his energy into him, our hero's organs will burst and he will die. The man understands that he is losing, but still intends to take at least someone with him to the other world. Jin Yan can barely move even a finger. He has no strength at all. Karatan says that the boy can still use the technique of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth and soul control. The main hero hesitates, but now there is no other way out. Jin Yan firmly grabs this scoundrel's hand, and this surprises him so much. Suddenly, the main hero stops being himself. Something very strange and creepy appears in front of the scoundrel's face. In a moment, Yam feels unbearable, incredibly strong pain. It covers his whole body. The man screams and begs to be released, but the boy does not even think about it. With every second, he sucks out his life force. In a few seconds, nothing will remain of this freak. His body literally dried up and life left. Jin Yan terribly did not want things to turn out this way, but there is nothing to be done now. There were no options left. Suddenly, Sylphana feels the magical powers of her master have run out. The fairy is very sorry about this, because if he had lasted a little longer, she would have finished off this freak. Sylphana is a little upset because she did not know that the master's power would be exhausted so quickly. Still, Sylphana managed to have fun today. The freak, meanwhile, hopes that there will be no more attacks and they really stop. The man does not understand at all what just happened and where these attacks came from. But in a moment he flopped into the water. His strength was gone. Fatigue overwhelmed him completely. Meanwhile, the battle for our hero is not over yet. The young man mercilessly throws his enemy in different directions. From such strong blows, the mustached man coughs up his own blood. He is no longer able to resist. From the force with which Jin Yan throws him, dust rose around. Yi-John closely watches their battle but still has not fully understood what happened. He felt that Jin Yang was simply fighting by using his inner strength, and suddenly his gaze changed and the energy flowed beyond the limits. Could this young man really transform the art of Yoma into pure power and fully assimilate it? He has already managed to apply it in martial arts. The enemy of our hero cannot resist at all. The guy is too much for him. Of course, the enemy tries with all his might to dodge or defend, but all in vain. Jin Yang seemed to lose consciousness. All he desires now is blood. In a second, he unleashes another attack. The main character wants to tear the flesh of his enemy and break his bones. Jin Yang grabs his enemy's heart, feeling its warmth and heartbeat. Sharp and icy sensation firmly lodged in his head. And also the guy felt an incredibly strong disgust, but realized it only later. Finally, the battle ended. Cheritan notes, the boy's inner energy became incredibly strong, but half of it is dark. Moreover, Jin Yang sucked the soul out of 2 people. Most of the energy went to revealing the energy of the stone. This has nothing to do with the will of Jin Yang. Still, Cheritan thinks that half of the boy's power has already been revealed. Our hero asked if Certain is hiding anything from him. Cheritan begins to get nervous from this question, but immediately denies everything. Main hero throws a stern look at him, full of suspicion. After some time, Vijayan approached the elder T-chan. The old man felt bad. Master Pen apologizes and says that they did not catch 2 enemies. T-chan greets Master Pen. It has been a very long time since they last saw each other. The master did not expect to see Chan again. If it weren't for his work, he would have drunk with Chan for 3 days and 3 nights. T-chan still cannot understand why the old man came personally, and it definitely was not for a meeting with him. The master came here to catch those who killed his son and his family members. The old man learned everyone involved in this is here now. But our hero has already finished off that bastard, although it happened by accident. Although he could not personally repay the enemy, he is pleased that he found the necessary item. Tano does not know why the Pen family needs the ruby, but the master insists this is not just a ruby. Master Pen wants to say that this is a precious stone of fire. T-chan finds this strange because inside the ruby there should be a pattern of fire, but it is not here. Under these circumstances, T-chan believes that this is not the right stone. Master Pen believes that they want to make their family their enemies. Right now they are in complete trouble. The life of one person depends on this stone. They have only one option left to go to the Ho family. If they stay here, the problem will not move. Currently, the most important thing is to focus on the exorcists Hyalhyal. Jihin suggests they hand over the exorcists they have captured. Jin Yang wants to get information from one person. If she needs an interrogation, it is better to conduct it in their fortress. The road to their fortress will take a lot of time, but if Jin Yang personally takes charge of the interrogation, it will be much faster. Bajikan still gives Jin Yang a chance to do it, because he caught him anyway. But if the interrogation makes no sense, they will take him to the fortress and entrust the matter to a professional. Then the main character immediately decided to proceed to the interrogation. But as soon as they turn their gaze to the prisoner, they realize he is already gone, he escaped. The enemy rushes away from that place with all his might and hopes that no one will catch him. Suddenly, another comrade of Mungkan approaches him severely wounded. The red-haired man tries to find out what happened there and whether Yoma managed to kill T-chan. Mungkan sadly says that they failed. They were stopped by a strange boy. He unexpectedly appeared right in the middle of the battle. Daniel, brother of Yoma, everyone died. Of the exorcists who survived, only they remain. It was very bad because if they return just like that, the cult leader will not simply let them go. Suddenly, a sword pierces the red-haired man's chest, a strike from behind. Men never understood where this stranger came from. They didn't even feel his presence, but it became clear this man was not friendly. Vijay Khan did not expect to run into the exorcists Hyalhyal who had fled and in such a state. Although they were quite badly distorted, judging by their clothes, these were the 2 they had missed. Now only one exorcist remained. It was necessary to find out if he was alive or dead. Tong Guan said they would have to forget about the interrogation. Jai Yan was sure that exorcist was still alive. Our hero draws this conclusion because his energy is still felt. Behind the exorcist stands the clan of Heavenly Blood. If this is really true, then the exorcist who fled must be caught immediately. He must be caught and interrogated to find out information about the clan of Heavenly Blood. Night had already fallen. The frightened exorcist stood completely alone in the middle of the forest, and it seemed he was scared too. He could not find that bastard who had killed his comrades earlier, but he was already standing behind him. It was already too late. The man was doomed. The enemy struck him with a sword right in the shoulder and blood gushed out. The unfortunate man tried to defend himself and managed to strike the enemy jump back. For the stranger in the hood, this was not an obstacle at all. In a few seconds, the enemy again hid in the shadow. The man was badly wounded and insanely angry, because today he faces the fact that he can no longer see with his own eyes. In a moment, the enemy again appeared right behind the man, who was already so badly wounded. The man immediately rushed into defense and fought back, but it hardly helped. The man poured all his energy into defeating the enemy, but he disappeared and skillfully defended against his attacks. The stranger continued to strike the unfortunate man, the one who could no longer break free. Now he swung the sword and hit him in the leg. Unbearable pain covered his entire body. But the man does not give up until the last moment. He wants to fight for his life, and he will do it. Suddenly, the stranger grabs the unfortunate man by the hand. It was easy to do, he was clumsy. After that, the enemy cuts off his hand without any mercy. There was absolutely no chance to avoid this. The man was crushed, blood splashed onto his face, and he realized that no one could save him anymore. Now this man was the only one left among the exorcists of HUMILIATES. The stranger in the hood was about to take his life, and a life in torment. Suddenly the man knelt on one knee and leaned on his sword. The main hero appeared just in time. He told the stranger that he was dealing with this man now, so there was no need to interfere. Suddenly our heroes surrounded this stranger. The Jikin immediately realized the man in the hood was not one of theirs. He apologized and said they needed to analyze the situation, so he asked this man to come with them. But the stranger had no intention of obeying them, and in a second he seemed to dissolve into thin air. Altogether they rushed at this strange stranger, but it was already too late. Nothing was left of him. It became clear he had escaped. The main hero turned to Sylphina and ordered her to find the person who had just disappeared. Sylphina was extremely dissatisfied. Jin Yan was giving her work again, and she wanted to rest. But our hero reminds her, recently she used up all his energy, so now she has no right to say anything to him. Let him fly to search for that man. After these words, Sylphina sighed heavily and still flew to carry out his order. He put her strength into it and quickly found this stranger. The fairy also warned the master. Many people were revolving around that stranger. It seems that the stranger also had companions. Jin Yan asks the fairy to take him there. Our hero is going to chase the killer and asks the masters to deal with everything happening here. The old man asks the young man to wait for them to go together, but Jin Yan can no longer be stopped. Meanwhile, too many people gathered in one place, black cloaks and white clothes. The mustached man would like to get a detailed report about the situation of the immortal heavenly army. The eccentrics in black stated that they killed 2 exorcists Hylial and all the people from the fortress Chanch. During the clash, 2 warriors died and the rest were wounded. Nothing strange happened with their group Chokchok. For the first arrival of the immortal warriors, it was very good. The man in the black cloak confessed he had one problem. He failed to kill 1 exorcist and 5 more witnesses appeared. Of the 2, he saw them for the first time and he already knew 3, Vijakin, Master Pen, and Ti Chong. Fortunately, they never revealed the killer's identity, and they were about to urgently return back. Some did not like the idea of simply disappearing from here without even removing the witnesses, because it was dangerous. But there is no need to worry, the witnesses did not reveal their true identity, so it is better to retreat. Their opponent is strong. More than 10 years have passed since they were locked up, so why can't they play a little longer? Now with such powers they are already in the past. The killers insist on killing those people who are still left, but the captain says, here he gives the orders. If they suddenly make a mistake, everyone will suffer serious losses, so it is better not to take risks. It turns out the main character overheard their conversation. They were saying something about a great lord. These people look like real masters, and it seems they are not going to reveal their identities. Grandfather perfectly understands. He together with our hero cannot cope with such a crowd. The boy understands. Now it is better for them to retreat. They must be grateful for the few hints they received. But they still decided to retreat first. Just before leaving, Jiang Guan steps on a dry branch. It cracks underfoot. Because of this noise they are noticed, and they have no choice but to fight. Jin Yon and Jiang Guan rushed to run, but it seems the enemies were still chasing them. These strangers in hoods did not even think of falling behind them. One of them almost hit grandfather with a blow, but our hero pushed him away from the attack in time. The old man could not understand when and how the enemies managed to attack so quickly. The main hero immediately breaks into an attack on their enemy, cutting through space with lightning technique. The stranger in the hood did not expect Jin Yon to go on the attack. These strangers will not stop. They will continue to pursue. We must flee from here as quickly as possible. The body of our hero was shattered by battles, and there was almost no internal energy left. Their enemies kept chasing him, so they felt bad. Strangers like cockroaches continued to swarm our heroes. Jin Yona was almost struck by the sword, but he dodged it just in time. Jin Yang lands a blow on the enemy and immediately disappears. The abilities of their enemies were too irritating. In a moment, the stranger in the hood was already behind Jin Yang. Fortunately, Chang Guan covered the young man and protected him from the blow. If not for him, the boy would have been finished. After this, the enemy disappears again. The main character warmly thanks the old man for the help. In any case, it will not be easy to find the location of the enemies. Their ability was truly unique. The main character admitted that this really confuses him. He had to admit their opponents were truly not simple. They could do nothing, so they only had to defend themselves together against the enemies. To the surprise of these strangers, our heroes held firm and did not give up. Their struggle continued, and none of them intended to retreat. There were too many enemies and the forces were uneven. Soon a furious explosion sounded. Fortunately, Chang Guan and Jin Yan managed to dodge it and were still standing. They had no time for games. They urgently needed to kill the witnesses. Things were very bad. Jin Yan could no longer endure. The energy was gone. In such a situation, he had no choice but to risk the inner powers he still had left. Cheritan warned the boy he would not defeat these people with the magical powers he had left. However, Certain was going to help the young man. He just needed to trust him. It didn't take long to think. Within a few seconds, Jin Yang already agrees to this adventure. Our hero asks Mr. Jian to run back and not look back as soon as he gives the signal. Jiang Guan did not know what the young man had planned, but still intended to listen to him. In a second, Jin Yang shouts loudly and orders Jiang Guan to run away. Then the main hero activates the technique of continuous bullets of hellfire. Suddenly, something incredibly strange appears in the sky. All this is the work of Jin Yang. And then from this unknown strange thing in the sky, bullets flew. They hit his enemies. The strangers tried to dodge these lightning-fast attacks, but it was extremely difficult to deflect them. Somewhere human screams were bursting. These attacks were still flying straight at the enemies. The main hero declared that it was not over yet. Suddenly something black appears in the air, like a black hole. And after that, black spears emerge from the ground. They are about to attack the enemies. Even when the man saw it with his own eyes, he could not believe it. Could such a mighty power really come from such a young boy? The captain ordered all subordinates to retreat. They definitely would not be able to win. But one of the strangers is not sure that they should run. After all, they were supposed to kill the witnesses. This dark blue fire opened like a wall and completely blocked their path. Even if they try to do something, it won't work. It was already too late to fix anything. The captain shouts that if they had immediately obeyed his order, they would have avoided all these unnecessary problems. Captain orders to take the wounded and retreat quickly. Finally, our heroes managed to escape. Jin Yun found it incredibly difficult. They managed to escape. Moreover, the enemies definitely will not pursue them here. Suddenly, they caught some noise and decided that the enemies had reached all the way here after them. Fortunately, it was only Ti Jiang. The meeting place had shifted, so he came here to escort them. Jiang Guan is surprised that they were able to find them in such a large forest. Ti Jiang trusted his intuition that they might come exactly here when he heard the sounds of explosions. The main character thinks that something has already happened to him. It turns out that a tragedy occurred. The subordinates of Vijikin who survived the battle with the exorcists Heilheal were killed.